absolute horseshit. That's why Fred Warner couldn't light him up. That's why the 49ers, that's why they couldn't light up Patrick Mahomes. And it's the same reason why Josh Allen gets to truck 3 players on his way to the end zone every week. Is because, and I want to bring up Josh Allen specifically because he'll run and truck through 3 guys, and then the next play he'll run and slide. So what is the defense supposed to do? You know what I mean? You can't go full speed at this guy. Right. And then with the Patrick Mahomes thing, he's running on the sideline. And if you just lay a finger on a quarterback that's acting like he's going to go out of bounds, unnecessary roughness call.
And I feel like he knew that, and that's how he got down.
That's exactly what's happening, bro. The quarterbacks know it's happening. It's just like Kenny Pickett's fake slide in college. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's bullshit. That call is bullshit. I understand that you're trying to protect the player. I do, but the quarterbacks are taking advantage of it.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Couch Potatoes. I am your host, Jay Cubs, joined as always by Feisty and Big Country. And we got another week of football just to get into.
Well, actually, we have Jay Cubs and Big Country. I'm kind of unfamiliar with these phases today. One's Big Country, what are you wearing over there? And then Jacobs, what happened to the
baby
looking a little clean, my guy? Wow.
To commit to the Halloween costume, and it seemed to pay off well. But now I'm, unfortunately, feeling the effects of it. But
welcome to the No Beard Club.
Yeah, no, I think mine's already longer.
Shut up.
Only been Wesley's still got his beard going strong, but it's a little different color scheme for him this week.
Hey, should we let him explain why he's wearing those?
Yeah.
Well,
floor's all yours.
No. Well, let me do it since you're not so excited about it. So, me and Big Country, we bet on the Cowboys against Steelers game, as you guys know. Losers, whoever's team lost, would have to wear the other team's jersey, and Leslie's looking good in that Dallas. I was not gonna wear them, so thanks for representing my boy.
There's only one team out of those 2 teams that are actually gonna make the playoffs this year, and
hey, that's okay. This is the highlight of the season, baby. Cool. Who needs playoffs when you got Wesley in Cowboys gear, baby?
Hey, it's pretty awesome. I definitely don't, but
that's because your team sucks too.
All right, but we always start out with college, that's what we like to do with. So let's get into it. And we got another new number 1 for I think like the 3rd week straight. Take it away there, Feisty.
Let's go, baby. The Ducks moved up a 1 spot after beating Purdue 35-0. Everybody knew this game was going to be a quick game. Oregon scored 2 quick possessions. Everybody was just playing really well. No big news here. Tess Johnson was doing his thing. Yvonne Stewart was still. He seems like finally he's starting to kick off. So glad to have my Ducks there. I think that I still don't believe that they're true number 1 just because of all the movement that's been happening. But we have an easier schedule now, and so hopefully we continue this hot streak and we get to make our way into the playoffs and have that first week bye, so then we don't have to worry about who we're going to face in that first week. And so good opportunity for the Ducks. I'm happy about it. So true number 1, I don't know, but we'll take the number 1, baby.
There you go. We knew this game wouldn't be anything special. Good for your defense to get the shutout. And I think, like you said, you guys don't have that tough of a schedule. The toughest tests are going to be your next 2 weeks against Illinois and Michigan. But, you're not worried about Michigan.
Definitely not.
Unless obviously, I don't think you're going to lose unless you have like a really close game and maybe the teams behind you have some blowouts or big wins. Maybe they'll pass you, but I see you guys staying at number 1 probably until the Big Ten at least.
Yeah,
All right, well, let's
definitely.
move on to number 2, which was another crazy upset. Georgia is up 3 spots after beating previous number 1 Texas 30-15, and this was a wild game. Texas, even after getting 2 interceptions, could not turn them into points.
Yep.
Georgia went up big in the first half, 30-0. They even put Arch Manning in for just a bit, which I thought was a little bit quick. I know that it seemed kind of like a desperation move to me. But Georgia handled their business and handled the late run from Texas after putting Quentin Ewers back in. And yeah, after that, no undefeated SEC teams at this point in the season. That feels weird to say at this point.
I mean, it's. I knew that the SEC was going to be tough this year, and I didn't think any of them were going to come out of that conference with wins.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part too is like it's almost like the Pac-12, right? They kind of beat down on themselves sometimes too because they
Mm-hmm.
have to play each other. So
This year, I feel like is different because I feel like in previous years it's been Bama or Georgia,
yeah,
and then they didn't play until at least the end of the year. And even if they did, like they wouldn't fall that much in the rankings. Maybe
right.
LSU's in there, maybe Tennessee, but now you got Texas in there. Oklahoma was supposed to be, but they're not as good. But now that you
Yeah,
got these new, there's it's just more top heavy. Well, I guess less top heavy because there's more good teams. So I feel like
yeah.
it's even heightened at this point.
And
It's
I
pretty
and I
crazy.
think, oh, to be fair, we kind of all probably wanted Texas to win this, just because Georgia's been the top dog for so long. So anytime Georgia loses, it's nice. But at the same time, I really didn't care for this game, who won or who lost. I just knew it was just gonna shake up the standings again. So good for Georgia to pull out. I did see some stuff about like the fans being kind of
Oh
towards
yeah.
the Texas fans, or I mean towards the to the Texas play or no Georgia players.
I thought it
Um,
was towards the refs. I think because it was a PI call or a holding call, and it after like looking at the review, it did kind of look like a BS call, like it wasn't the
yeah,
right call. But then I think they started throwing like bottles and trash
yep,
onto the field or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
So that's what you get when it's Texas games. You know, Texas fans are very loyal. Trust me, we know. So But it was a good game at the start, and then after Georgia took, command, it was kind of nice to see them kind of run away with it and not have to have a close game. So good for Georgia to pull this one through.
yeah, looks like they might be an NFL team again, huh, Feisty?
I'm not gonna go there because on
Not anymore.
Monday I got clicked.
All right. Well, moving down, we got number 3 and number 4 staying put with Penn State and Ohio State. They didn't play this week. And then number 5 is Texas, dropping down 4 spots after losing to Georgia.
Makes
And
sense.
then number 6 is Feisty's Miami Hurricanes, who beat Louisville in quite the game. I actually got to catch this game, and it was quite the offensive battle. And I think just another performance from Cam Ward where because what happened in this game is that Miami came out to an early lead, and then Louisville kept fighting back. They would score and they'd go back and forth, but Cam Ward every drive would score a touchdown and make sure that lead never got erased away or close enough, and so Louisville just couldn't stop them. So they ended up beating Louisville 52-45.
Was this?
And what's up?
Sorry, I was just gonna ask. Was this in Louisville or in Miami?
This was in Louisville.
That's weird. I was wondering when Mr. Mario Cristobal was gonna go visit his grandma
There we go. There we
in
go. Your
Miami,
weekly.
but he never visited her. Just so we're clear, people, I'm gonna do this every week.
I think everybody's pretty clear on that.
Just in case anybody hasn't.
He still didn't visit her.
All right. Well, let's move down to 7. Another one of Feisty's teams, Tennessee,
Hey,
moving up 4 after they beat the Alabama Crimson Tide 24-17. Wow.
hey, this is the only time we will give that 10% to Tennessee,
They
baby.
earned it this week.
This week they earned it because they beat Row Tie. So,
Yeah. 2 losses on the season for Bama already, man.
oof. Got
That's
it.
something you haven't seen. The Kalen DeBoer era not going as smoothly as you might think, but I mean, they're well, that's not true. I forgot their first loss was to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and guess who's? We'll talk about it later, but thanks for putting them on the map.
There we go.
Oh man, yeah, this week they definitely earned that 10%. It was a good game, close game, and even though I'm happy to see Alabama lose, it was kind of a lose-lose for me because F Tennessee.
All right, well, let's move along. We have LSU staying put at 8 after defeating Arkansas 34-10. Clemson jumps up one spot after beating Virginia 48-31. Iowa State drops one spot. They barely escaped UCF with the win 38-35. And then, as if, my emotional football life isn't hurting enough, I am pretty sure I still have a handprint right here about Wesley Sized um, after BYU. There, I
Oh,
said
hold
it.
on, hold on.
Had the win, and Wesley gave me a good old lick after after getting an exciting win. So Wes, I'll let you take away
Wes,
and
before
talk
you
about
do that,
that.
he didn't do it right.
Uh,
Allow me to reintroduce you, baby. The best team in Utah. It's BYU.
there
Well,
you go.
thanks for the reintroduction there, Feist. At least it was taken care of. Um, no, this was definitely a crazy game. I knew that it was going to be a test coming in. I mean, Oklahoma State's not just a pushover team, even though now they are. What is it? They're 0-4 in conference play, I believe. Um, but yeah, definitely not a pushover game, and I to barely eke it out in the last minute. I was definitely not thinking that BYU was going to pull it off because
Yeah.
I had zero faith in their offense, but Retzlaff really, proved everybody wrong. I feel like on that final drive, and they went down the field in what was it, 3 plays, and took the lead back with 10 seconds left to go, and there was definitely a few drinks flowing that night, so definitely got a definitely got pretty excited for that win, and
He
It
bought
like
definitely
shots at
shook me for a
everybody.
minute. I walked back and I was like, he's just excited. He's just excited. I just had to calm myself down for a bit. But that was crazy because, and you didn't mention it yet, that last play, the touchdown play, was freaking filthy. I'll censor it because it's BYU, but very
oh,
filthy.
everyone.
He broke 3 dudes' ankles on the way to a touchdown, and I couldn't believe it. I was already in shock, and then yeah, Wesley got real excited, and yeah, it's a great win. I mean, it wasn't. It definitely. I would say it's not your best performance of the year, but like you said on that final drive, Retzlaff found a way to get it get the win. I mean, he was only 50% completion percentage, but all you need to do sometimes is enough to win. And
You
you
win.
proved that you can do that. Like you said, Oklahoma State, it's not like it's a pushover team by any means. And they proved that against you guys because it was in BYU. So kind of impressive, maybe their most impressive game of the year. But yeah, it was a great win for BYU. And I don't know if I said so. They jumped up 2 spots. Now they are ranked 11 after
And
that win.
I think that that's the part that kind of frustrates me a little bit more. Even though they won a close one, I just feel like they still should be moving up a little bit more. I know that LSU has one loss. I think Miami, not Miami, um, Clemson, I think has one loss. So like a lot of these teams have one loss. Like you guys mentioned before, their conference is a little bit tougher. 7-0 team versus a 6-1 team. In my opinion, take the 7-0 team, and I feel like they've played good enough teams to kind of be where they're at. But that's the part that frustrates me. A win's a win. You get a win, you get one by safety, perfect. Like you still take it. And so that's the only part that I'm frustrated. I think BYU played really good game. I remember at halftime it was like 14-21, I think it was, or something like that. And so I was like, I'm not worried. They're gonna come back and kill him. I think that there's just probably something's going on, and the coach is gonna talk to him. So good win for them. Like I said, win's a win. But let's see BYU move into that top 10 because I feel like they deserve it, in my opinion.
Well,
So
and so I think that the only reason why they keep them down at 11, well, first of all, teams from Utah, I feel like get zero respect.
yep,
Doesn't matter which team it is. And then the second point is because BYU and Iowa State are the top of the Big 12, and they're
right.
both right next to each other. You know what I mean? That's just the rank. That's just the people that are in charge of ranking the teams think that the Big 12 conference is not a powerful conference. They think that these conferences and these other team schedules ahead of them are a lot harder um, than what BYU and Iowa State have to play. But I mean, they're still going up. I was actually surprised that they went up. I was telling Kyle that night that I was obviously I was very excited for the win, but I thought that they were going to fall. I mean, at least 2 spots because of how
Close it
Oklahoma
was.
State is 0-4
Yeah.
in conference and hasn't had a good season. I thought for sure they were going to fall. Iowa State fell. UCF has a win in conference, I believe. I believe they have 2 of them. They're either 1 or 2 wins in conference.
1-3 in the
And
Big
Yeah, they're
12 for
one
yeah,
and
UCF.
three.
so Iowa State falls back a spot, and they have the same exact score we did. And I feel like both UCF and Oklahoma State are on the same level. So I don't understand it. That's probably why I'm not picking this. Picking the rankings every week, but
Well,
happy
they
with
just
the two
favor the
push.
SEC. Well, they just favor the SEC
That is
conference
where the
so
hardest
much.
teams play, though. The
Yeah, but
hardest
that's
teams play in
yeah,
the
you're right.
SEC.
It's where the money making teams are. That's where like you look at all of them, the top like those top guys, like LSU 6-1, Tennessee's 6-1, Georgia's 6-1. I get it because they played
They also
for
favor the Big Ten. You got like three of those teams in
well,
the
that's
top
because
five.
Big Ten is better than Big 12. So not gonna go there, but
Exactly. So the
I do
Big
think all
12's
three of those
third in the
teams are
rankings.
undefeated.
yeah, but
Oh, except for Ohio
we're
State.
talking about SEC here, guys. Come on now. We're not worried about the Big Ten.
What are
Remember,
you saying
it's the
now?
whole Nike thing. We're not worried about how much Dylan Gabriel makes. We're worried
Uh,
about how much Cam Rising makes.
mm,
Just saying.
gotcha.
So, but good win for BYU anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think BYU fans have got to be still happy about this, especially where projections were at the start of the season versus now. And the thing is, I think they're scheduled the same thing. It's not as crazy. I mean, you got a couple of road games coming up with UCF, so we'll see how that test is, and then Utah. But then you finish the season with Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston, which I think they should take all of those games for sure, maybe even more. But yeah, I think BYU at 11 is like a good spot. I think right there with Iowa State, if they continue to impress, obviously they can pass them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the teams above them, maybe you can make an argument. I mean, I don't think they could pass Miami. Who has Tennessee's lost to? Tennessee lost to somebody good, right?
They lose to
Oh no, they lost to Arkansas. Never mind, I'm wrong. Unranked
yeah.
Arkansas.
Remember that's the week I gave him.
Yeah, that's
That was my great
right.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just regardless. I think that it just comes down to popularity of a school too. I mean, like, let's admit it. Like, we even said that they're gonna be starting 3-0, and then after that, we were just gonna start falling and this
Hmm.
like just getting B after B. So they're proving people wrong, and they continue to prove that. And I love it. I think that if they end up winning the Big 12, like that would be awesome, right? So if
The one
BYU
thing
can somehow pull it off, that's going to be huge because going from last to first, somebody in this pot recording knows something about that a little bit, don't you, Wes? Going last to first, baby. So it might be in the genes, baby.
I was gonna say, I mean, the only thing that can't happen this season is BYU loses to Utah because even if they have the one loss on their record against
Yeah.
Utah, that's a huge garnish on the season. I feel like.
Right. It's a
Hey,
rivalry game.
chill,
It's
chill,
not. It's
chill.
not. It's not even that because Utah. It's not even because Utah fucking sucks now. It's just because. It's because it's it's the rivalry game, man. Like
Yeah.
I think any BYU fan would feel the same way.
It has more meaning to it, I think, is really what it
You
kind of
can't
comes
have
down
this
to.
amazing season where you prove all the doubters wrong and you lose to your number one rival. You know what I mean? Like that can't happen.
As a
Put this
chat.
game in rivalry week, by the way. I hope this becomes a thing going forward. I'm kind of pissed that we're playing like this early in the season, and then like our rivals, our last games are like your rivalry week is Houston or whatever. But yeah, let's keep moving on. Notre Dame is at 12. They stay put after defeating Georgia Tech 31-13. Indiana, man, they continue to impress and in a big way. They jump up 3 spots after crushing Pat E. Mahomes wannabe and Dylan Ryota in Nebraska 56-7 to improve. I think another team that's 7-0
Yeah, that
and
makes
really
sense.
cruising right now. So they're a team that didn't have, again, same thing, didn't have a lot of respect, but I'm rooting for them at this point. It's kind of like that underdog that I just want to keep seeing win and moving up, see what they can do. I think a lot of people are thinking they can make the college football playoff if they keep rolling. So
Well, Mahomes had like 3 picks too, didn't he? Like he just kept throwing pick after pick after pick.
sounds
I
like
don't think
Mahomes.
Mahomes does that. Sounds like
um,
a Brock Purdy kind of guy, actually. If I'm
oh
talking.
boy, a little foreshadowing there, Feisty. I love it. Let's move along. We got Texas A&M staying put at 14 after beating Mississippi State 34-24, and then Alabama dropping 8 spots after that
Oh,
loss to Tennessee.
wow. Forget about how bad their count was. How about them Bama boys? uh,
Same thing, different league, right? Pretty much.
disappointment teams. That's all I'm saying.
Kansas State continues to claw their way back up the rankings. They're at 16 after beating West Virginia 45-18. Boise State gets a 2 position jump even after their bye week. Feisty, I know that you had mentioned you wanted to mention
Yeah,
something
there was a
about
little
Boise
bit
State.
of a not necessarily drama. It was just between Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. Um, also the number one and number two for Heisman candidate. So there was just a little quote that they were kind of going back and forth. Travis Hunter was mentioning how no player has done what he's been doing since what's his name, the cornerback safety that played at Michigan. He
Oh,
did it. So
Charles Woodson.
yeah, Charles Woodson, and he was like, I definitely deserved the Heisman. And then Gentry comes back and says, kudos to Travis. He's balling for real. He's doing some stuff that we haven't ever seen anybody do. Personally, I don't take to offense because that's when he was like, it should be mine to win. He's like, yeah, personally, I don't take it to offense. He's just picking his opinion, and everybody's got an opinion. For me, what I've seen, what I've been doing hasn't been done in 36, 37 years. So that's something special. And if I keep that up and break a record that's been around for 36, 37 years, I feel like you can't really compete with that. So I kind of wanted to put this out there. Well, they're both doing some amazing things. What do you guys like? How, if we were the ones deciding, right? How would you decide on somebody breaking 36, 37 year record winning? Would you give it to him or would you go to give it to an elite player that's playing both sides so well? I think that looking at the stats, like Travis Hunter has like 2 interceptions and 6 touchdowns on the offense and like 650 yards receiving. I don't know how many receptions, but like both doing incredible things. How would you guys decide that?
Well, first of all, I want to mention that I love that response from Ashton Genty.
Yeah,
Totally keeping it cool, not clapping back, not making it a thing,
for sure.
and complimenting Travis while also backing himself up. And I like what he has to say about himself. And it is the same kind of argument where we haven't seen what Travis Hunter is doing since Charles Woodson forever ago. We haven't seen what Ashton Genty's doing since forever ago.
Yeah,
And my thing personally, I'm more impressed with Ashton Genty at this point in the season. I think that
agree.
he is doing a phenomenal run. He's averaging 9.9 yards per carry. I saw that the other day. Might as well be 10, Ashton. Come on, pick it up. Let's get a little bit more. But I don't know. I think he's just been a little bit more impressive, and that's no shot at Hunter. I mean, Hunter is the same kind of thing. And he's a dog. He really is, and be able to play the amount of snaps he does too, because he doesn't just he doesn't just play, you know, at 5 or 10 snaps on defense or anything like that. Like he plays almost every snap on both sides of the ball.
That's why
So that's
he's hurt.
impressive. But I go Genty. I think that he's doing something historical right now, which so is Hunter. But I think Genty's just a notch above.
Yeah. What I look at it as is team success. You know what I mean? Because football is a team sport first.
Right.
And them boys over there in Colorado, they don't seem very team first. They kind of seem, especially right now in college, don't know how they'll
What?
be if they go to the NFL. But
What? Are you sure?
I don't know how they'll act once they go to the NFL, but they definitely right now in college do think that they're the cream of the crop, and I'm myself, I get mine, and that's it. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
Ashton Genty, like I said, it's a team sport. So for him to average 9.9 carries, nobody talks about, or 9.9 yards, sorry, yards a carry, but nobody talks about the offensive line that's blocking for him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's a team sport, and I think that I would lean towards Ashton Genty just for the team aspect. You know what I mean? This team's come out of nowhere, and yeah, they're riding Ashton Genty all the way to the top, but for a team aspect, that's why I'd go Ashton Genty.
Here's my thing is like just because you guys both went with Genty, I'm gonna go and play devil's advocate. Um, and it really comes down back to again the teams that these both teams have been playing. I feel like Boise State has had an easier schedule than Colorado has. So I think I get
They
the
played
whole
your
point
Ducks,
of like
bud.
it is huh?
They
Yeah,
played
they
your
almost
Ducks
beat
and
your
almost beat
Ducks.
them.
Yeah, yeah, shut up. We don't talk about
So they're
That's
saying
not
they
an
had an
easy.
easy
That's not an easy
schedule,
team.
not an easy schedule, but other than that,
and he
they've
put
had
like 200 yards on the Ducks'
hey,
head.
hey, we play. You're welcome. Actually, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't even be talking about Ashton, Genty. Okay, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
okay.
I'm
You're
sure we
welcome.
would still would be talking
You're
about him.
welcome. Actually, now
He
let me
was
get
just
to my
trying
point.
to.
Let me get to my
He
point.
was just trying to play devil's advocate. He's
I
still
know.
getting roasted.
No,
If I
we
have to
don't
wear
talk
this
about that
stupid
law.
shit, then I'm not going to hear it all from
Okay, but like no, I'm being dead serious though. I think that like the hype behind Deion Sanders and his kids is kind of tough, and I think that it's the same thing with Daddy Braun and LeBron and Bronny. Bronny's not ready, right? But since you're Daddy Braun's son, you're gonna get all the attention. I think that obviously Deion Sanders, Shador Sanders is a good player overall, and he's not even being mentioned in this, right? But then Travis Hunter has proven that he is the guy on that team. Um, I just think that what he's able to do is just really comes down to stats. I'm a stats kind of guy. And that's why people don't think LeBron James is the GOAT because they don't look at stats, right? And so, um, but it's just hard to kind of compare the two players, right? It's two positions that are different from one another. Um, but ultimately, I'm on Genty's team, so F Travis Hunter.
Well, and I may be wrong, but I think also like the difference in the Heisman and MVP. I think that the Heisman, since it's so traditional, it also has to do with like character and how
Yeah,
you handle yourself, how inspire your team, inspire others around you, stuff like that. So I think that this kind of attitude from Hunter. I don't know. I could be wrong. It may not be as big of a deal, but I think that might give Genty a slight notch. Like when you hear Genty's response versus Hunter's response, I feel like Genty's more Heisman as far as the Heisman category goes. That's
sure,
all.
right.
That's my whole point
Yeah,
there.
I just on that one I think it's hard because I think they're both really good players and they're really good people. He's not the like I said, he's not the Sanders boys. Travis Hunter does his and and I think if they can both stay healthy, I think we would love to see Genty's break that 36, 37-year-old record that Barry Sanders set. And so it's long term, I think you look at it as like that's a cool story versus Travis Hunter winning it because he was playing both sides. That's already been done, right? And I don't
Mhm.
know how long Terrell Woodson's been out of the college, but like even then, like it hasn't been that long. But 36, 37 years record that's impossible to break. I think you're kind of giving your hands are kind of tied, and you kind of have to give it to Genti at that point. So
You think it's just a 2-horse race now? You think like guys like Cam Ward are
nah,
falling a little bit behind, or
I don't. Yeah, I don't think that they. I think Cam Ward is the only one that has a chance. But if these two can stay healthy, like I know Travis Hunter's been dealing with a shoulder injury because he's playing so many freaking snaps. Like
yeah, that's
you,
another
you
thing
can,
too. He's been out, and the injuries are a part of it. It's just a fact, but he has been out a couple of weeks
yeah.
where
So
Genty hasn't.
if they can both stay healthy, I think it really just comes down to those two. I don't think that the other guys have a chance at it. And the only other one that could have a chance, like you said, is Cam Ward, and he would have to do something special to make a case for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'd agree. I think that it's kind of coming down to those two, and I think we all think Genty has the lead there. So let's move along from Boise State. Old Miss stays at 18. They were idle. Pitt goes up 1. They were also idle, and then Illinois in possibly the coolest uniforms I've seen all season. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was like they painted they were actual helmets, but they painted to make them look like the leather helmets from like the 1900s. I don't know. They were so clean. I loved them. But anyways, back to the actual game.
The best part of
Uh,
it,
the Big Ten matchup: Illinois beats Michigan 21-7. I'll let you take it away.
anytime Michigan loses, it's a great time. Ah man, Michigan just we all knew who Michigan was. They're not that anymore, and I'm gonna keep enjoying this until they play Ohio State and they beat them. Then I'm gonna be celebrating for Michigan. But Illinois just basically shut this team down. Like offensively, Michigan couldn't get anything going. It's still hurting them that they don't have an actual quarterback on the team. The guy that's actually the ball is on their hands at all times. They're like, well, we're just gonna run the ball. That's all we do. And so it ended up not working out too well. The Illinois defense played really well. And once again, Michigan loses to a team that they probably would have never lost a couple of just last year or the year before. Actually, last year it was a what do you call it? Oh wait, they should have not won the national. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
What,
Two
that
years ago.
Michigan won?
Yeah, 2 years ago. My
No,
bad.
Michigan won it last year.
Did they win it last year?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
They
anyways.
beat Washington.
Oh, that's right. When it was rigged. Thanks for reminding me. So I love it. I think that if Michigan continues to lose, I will keep cheering that. There's a few teams, if you guys have noticed as listeners and viewers, that I cheer for when they lose, and Michigan is one of them, and I will be there. So
I can't wait. I'm going to be tuned in. I know it probably won't be a game, but if Michigan pulls a rabbit out of their hat
against
and has a good game against Oregon, that would be quite funny. But I don't
imagine,
see
dude,
that
I'm not showing up for that recording.
happening.
Sorry.
We're going to have to find you Michigan gear and make you wear that on the podcast.
Actually, Derek might have some.
Oh, there we go. All
Oh,
right. Well, let's keep moving down. Missouri drops 2 spots. They defeated Auburn 21-17. SMU dropped 1 spot after defeating Stanford 40-10. Army stays at 23 after defeating East Carolina 45-28. And then Navy moved up 1 after killing Charlotte 51-17. And then number 25 from unranked last week, but now they're in the top 25. Vanderbilt, baby.
yeah.
After defeating Ball State 24-14. So good for the Vandy boys, and let's see if they can keep moving up. And they're only 10 spots below Bama, so let's see if we can get them ranked above. Wouldn't that be fun?
Imagine.
All right. And then we just got a couple of unranked teams we unfortunately have to talk about. One of them, I'll say, is USC. They lost again, buddy. They lost to Maryland this week. So Big Ten has not been kind to them at all. And then we have
at least they
Utah.
lost. At least this one they lost close,
Close. But still,
29-28. So.
fuck USC. Oh, and then yes, like I said, I'm starting to think that a higher power is punishing me for being so cocky on week one. And this is for the homies when I told everybody, like, raise your hand if your team won today. And I was giving my fiance shit because the Packers had lost that game, even though they are killing it now. And so this is for the homies. Boys, I want you to raise your hand if either of your college or your professional team have won a game in the last month. Yeah.
This is just everything coming back on you for being a Patriots fan for the last
decade. Yeah, it sure is. So let's get into it. Our third straight loss to TCU. And yay, I got to be in attendance for it again. We lost 13-7. Actually played a really good defensive game. Held them to one total touchdown, just 3 total scores. We blocked kicks. We won the turnover battle. Did what we needed to on defense, but the offense was a whole other story. For about 3.5 quarters, I would say they had the offensive playbook just limited to just nothing. It was preschool-esque, whatever you want to say. There was nothing we could do, nothing Isaac could do. I don't even blame it totally on him. We just had no chance. And we did have the one touchdown we had was a 71-yard touchdown to Money Parks. And if we erase that, we had 196 total yards of offense on the night. Just horrendous against TCU, who hasn't, done much this year. And after this, our offensive coordinator, Andy Ludwig, steps down. And I know a lot of people were happy to see this, a lot of Utes fans. He's done some good things for Utah. He's not been the greatest at times, but Mike Bajakan, if that's correct, will take over as the interim offensive coordinator. But after this, I know I said last week we have to win out and we have to have things go our way. But now with that third loss, all to unranked teams, 2 of them at home, it's just not our season. I don't know if it's our welcome to the Big 12 year and we're not, quite used to it. But like Wesley alluded to earlier, there's one way that BYU season could be unsuccessful, and there's one way that Utah season can still be successful. And I don't have high hopes for it, but if we do,
it is in Utah, man.
If we do, here we go. I'll be happy. And then the other thing too is, are we even going to be fucking bowl eligible at this point? Because the thing is, we have harder teams left. We still have Iowa State. We still have BYU. We have UCF on the road. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, it seems like, especially at this point, to get those next 2 wins.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
That's all. What I don't understand is why they would hold Isaac Wilson back at this point. He is your future. I understand you don't want him to get discouraged, but I mean, the week before Cam came back, didn't he throw for like almost 200 yards?
He's done pretty good. That was against, I think,
he threw for like almost 200 yards and ran for 60 State. Or something like that.
Yeah, he had a good game, and that was in Oklahoma State too. That was where I was like feeling pretty good. I'm trying to look. Oh, there it is. He threw for 207 and 1 touchdown in that game. I'm trying to see if he had any rushing stats, but yeah, he had a good game. And I mean, like he's shown some good things. He's shown some bad things. Like we've said, like, he is a freshman. He's a true freshman. And like, if he's going to make mistakes, he's going to make mistakes, but give him a chance. I mean, we got to win games at some point. And TCU, like this, we were within it the whole game. They only scored 13 points. And in that third like the last half of the third quarter, fourth quarter, started letting Isaac use his legs, which he is very good at doing, and open up a little more of the passing game, opened up a little bit more. But yeah, TCU just knew exactly what we were going to do the whole time and shut down the run, and we couldn't get anything open. We do a screen pass to Keithy about 55 times, it felt like, in that game, and never worked. But yeah, I don't understand it either. I mean, it is what it is at this point. He's your guy. Just roll with him and see what can happen. Let him make mistakes.
He's gonna be your guy for at least the next 3 seasons, depending on like how well he does. I mean, nobody knows when he's gonna go, if he's good enough, or if he'll go to the NFL.
Right.
I'm sure he will, and follow in his brother's footsteps. Well, step over his brother's footsteps.
We hope.
Although
we'll have to get into that a little bit later.
But no, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's a weird coaching technique, because you let the reins off against Oklahoma State because you knew you needed that win. You lose Cam Rising for the season, and now all of a sudden everybody wants to give up. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me, because, like you said, if they won out, which would definitely be hard to do, but it was possible, especially because of like how your defense played. Coach Whittingham is a defensive guy, and always has been. He always puts good defenses out there. I mean, you can ride the defense, and just as long as the offense gets first downs, makes drives, that defense will cover you. And but if you put the reins on somebody, then it's not going to work, because then everybody's going to know what you're going to do. I understand he's a true freshman. It's like having a rookie in the NFL. It's, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, especially because your season wasn't over until you lost this game, I feel like.
No, you definitely hit the nail on the head, because it almost feels like every time Cam Rising goes down, Mister 2.6 million salary.
Is that like a quarter of what Dylan makes?
Hey, once again, we ain't going over there.
Okay.
But once he goes down, it's almost like this team just kind of shuts down. Like, that leadership is just not there, and so it's almost like the team's like, nah, I don't want to play anymore. So you hope that they can, you know, come back from these next 3 games and actually put up a fight. Bernard's still running. I just hope that they don't run his the wheels off of him, because that's so much that he's having to carry because of the offense struggling to pass. But I agree, Wes. Like, why are you holding him back? Let him do his thing. Let him go make mistakes. If he's not making mistakes now, you definitely don't want him to be making big mistakes next season. Let him learn from it now, so then next season is a fresh start for you. Unless Cam Rising comes back for the 20th season, which we would love. Um,
High
you just
possibility.
hope that that Isaac Wilson can grow from this, and the youth just need to let him have the keys and continue to develop him, because I think he's a good player and he's shown it in small glimpses. And so if you just let him have the offense to how you should be running with him, and especially with now offensive coordinators being changed, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for them. So
Hopefully. I mean, like, the thing is too, when you put the reins on him like that, you put the reins on the whole team, and then we can't run the ball. Then Makai can't be as successful as he should be, and everything just gets ejected. And I did hear, like, I did see, I was facing their sideline this week with the seats I had, and like there was just never really any energy. You never saw and usually in college you see it all the time. Even if it's just like a minimal good play, you see the whole team clapping, cheering, whatever they're doing, trying to rile their boys up after a series or whatever. And like I said, we were never down. Well, I think we were down 2 scores at one point. I think we might have went down 13-0 if I remember correctly. Might have been 10-0, but we were never out of it. It was never so far away, but yet the team just looked dejected the whole time. I did hear from family members who watched it on TV that, like, Cam Rising was on the field in street clothes, but just like laughing it up, chopping it up with like fourth stringer, instead of probably, helping Isaac, what he should do, and try to get him after. I didn't see that, couldn't see that from a person. That's just what I heard. So it could be wrong, but it's kind of the narrative out there, you know. And speaking of the Cam Rising thing, I have like a lot of nobody wants him back. I feel like in Utah, except for Kyle Whittingham. But I have friends saying that they won't be Utes fans anymore if he does come back to Utah, and it's just not the right move. We've talked about it already time and time again. It's just gonna ruin the team. It's just gonna, stunt Isaac's development. It's gonna, he's not gonna make it on the field. I feel bad for him. I think he had a chance to be something without all these injuries, but it's just been too long. So what I do want to ask you guys real quick before we end this segment is, do you think after this kind of definitely very disappointing, underwhelming season for Utah, do you think Kyle officially calls it quits after this season?
I don't think so.
You
I
hope.
don't.
You know?
I don't think you hope so either. As a Utes fan, I mean, I understand that Whittingham has made some weird decisions this season, but I it's hard to move on from a coach that has been as successful as Whittingham has been, and I don't think that I don't think that you should, and I don't think he will. You know what I mean? But that's coming from a Steelers fan that's had the same head coach since I've been alive. So I don't know. I just feel like with a guy that's given you success and has put you in positions to grow that success, like I don't see why you would want to move on.
I I have a different point of view because we had Mario Cristobal and I thought that that was working. And like all jokes aside, I'm happy for him and what he's been able to do with Miami, even though he didn't go visit his grandma. But it's just cool to see what Oregon's been able to do with Dan Lenning. Like he's changed that whole culture around. He's all about the boys. Like he is just amazing coach to have. So I would love for you guys to experience that where I think that having a new coach to come in and having a new environment being created, especially now that you guys are in the Big 12, there's more recruitment that's going to be coming your way. You need to be going after big boys on the offensive side because defensively, I think you guys are stacked and you guys are always getting players regardless. Um, but I think it could be a good change to have a new coach, like a new face in there to lead that program and to make changes. I think that what's his name, Kyle Winningham has made his mark and he's been able to do a lot of good things, and if they do statues, he should probably get one just because of how he's, been able to affect this program and built this football program for so long and he's had his success. He's being Oregon, he's being USC, so it's like it's nothing bad to him, but I think it's time for him to kind of step down and let the next phase take over and next coach to kind of go over that next success story.
I just had a thought real quick. You know how you're talking about Cam Rising's paycheck?
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham is the highest paid government official in Utah. So.
Yeah. He's been paid, and that's why he's the longest. I think that the only longer tenured coach is the Iowa head coach. I think he's been there like 26, and then this is Kyle's 20th season, if I am correct. So that's hard to move on from a guy like that. Like you said, Cristobal, you moved on from him, but I don't know how long he had been your guys' coach. Not 20 years, I assume.
No.
And the thing is, too, we got our defensive coordinator coming in to take the head coach. He's already been named the head coach in waiting or whatever the term is. So wonder how different it'll be. I feel like Kyle wouldn't want to end his career on this note. But also at the same time, it could be a good time, for a change of scenery. I don't want him gone. I just wonder like what he'll want to do and what he would, want to, how his legacy would be. Cause like you said, Feisty, like his legacy's cemented already in Utah history. If there's going to be statues, maybe he deserves one or like Kyle Whittingham, like Field or something, even like they've done with Nick Saban in Alabama or something like that, something to respect him and honor him. So
LaVelle Edwards, like
yeah,
from BYU.
there you go. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, whatever happens, we just get a lot better. That's all I'm hoping for. So, All right, that's the college football section. After this quick break, we'll get into the NFL. See you guys on the other side. And welcome back, boys. Let's get into the NFL, and let's start it out with Thursday Night Football, which went back to being normal Thursday Night Football after, 1 or 2 weeks of good football on Thursday night. This was Broncos Saints. Nothing real special about this game. We didn't really expect much. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. Spencer Rattler, 150th pick, fifth-round guy, rookie quarterback. And it started out rough. Denver's offense was the one that kind of got it a little bit going. They got a field goal, touchdown really quick. But the Saints really couldn't do anything. And they had a lot of injuries. They're like the Dallas Cowboys infirmary, man. They put up the graphic there. They had a lot of guys on defense, a lot of guys on offense. Olave was out for this game. And then, unfortunately, Rashid Shaheed from Weber State, he is out for the season after undergoing a meniscus surgery. So terrible to hear that for him. And unfortunately, that only barely starts a trend for what we'll get into, especially with wide receivers this week in the NFL. But other than that, Broncos dog walk the Saints 33-10. Saints lose their fifth straight game. Broncos 4-1 in their last 5. So kind of rolling. It's not the offense's doing, I'll tell you that much. But I don't know if you see. I think he played an okay game, but there was one pass where Bo Nix both missed his under guy and over guy, both wide open, and he threw it right in between them. Nobody was covered. Missed them both. Typical Bo Nix. But no, that was just a funny thing. Other than that, he played good. The Saints trying some stuff. They did sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling after the Shaheed injury, and then they also just did extend Alvin Kamara to a 2-year, $24.5 million deal. So I don't know if that means they want to keep him in there or if that's like a tradable type of deal.
Yeah.
Get ready for in the future, because
I was gonna
you
say,
know who'd he be perfect for?
I think
A little too early for that one.
I think Alvin Kamara is the only guy on the Saints that could clear cap for him too.
Yeah,
until now.
Until they extended him.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
I don't know what kind of guaranteed money is in the new deal, but yeah, I think he was the only guy that they could cut where it wasn't going to roll back into penalties and stuff for them. So
Not anymore.
Awesome. Well, that was Thursday Night Football. Let's get into the Sunday slate. Let's start out with a couple of stinkers just to get them out of the way. Rams versus Raiders. I don't know who watched this game that wasn't a Raiders fan, even Rams fans, I'm sure, at this point. Not many of them watching, but the Rams did get the win, 20-15. And the only real big news from this, though, is the wide receivers. So we'll start with one, which is Puka Nacua, who is designated now to return from IR. Thank you. It's been a long freaking, whatever it's been, 8 weeks on IR for 2 of my fantasy teams. Hope that he's coming back healthy. Just don't rush it, because I think that's what they did last time. But then even bigger news, Rams are shopping Cooper Kupp, and they are looking for a second-round pick in return. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I got a couple things. We were talking about it earlier when we read the headline. Me and Jacobs there. But if you trade Cooper Kupp, are you calling it a season? Are you
I would think so.
Are you calling the Stafford era over? Because he's getting a little too up there to have to do this over again. So if you're I feel like if you're starting to shop Cooper Kupp, then you should maybe start thinking about shopping for Stafford too.
Yeah.
Puka's what? This is his third year,
Second year.
or this is his
Second.
sophomore.
Second
This is
year.
sophomore season. You can't trade Puka, but if you're going to look to trade Cooper Kupp, I think you look to trade Stafford as well and just start from the beginning again.
You trade him as a
Um,
combo?
no,
No,
No.
I don't think
nobody's
so.
nobody's
You
gonna
know
trade
who
for
they would
that.
be perfect for?
Not the Patriots because we got a better quarterback, so we're
Not the
good.
Cowboys. They couldn't afford him.
Oh,
I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns, bro. Why you guys all gotta come at me like that?
If
Cooper
I have to
Cup would
wear
be
this
good
trash
for.
shit, then
Cooper Cup would be good for the Patriots. I think him and Drake May, man. No, but what another thing we were talking about, Wes. I
yeah,
actually think, and I hate to say it, I
the other
think that
thing.
Cooper Cup would be good for. Oh, that was your other thing. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Always fucking cutting me off,
You
man.
know
I'm
who he
I
sorry.
would be
didn't.
really good for?
I just stole your thunder that time. It's different. It's different.
Seriously,
um,
I'm
no,
just
okay,
kidding.
so yeah, so I've heard the rumors, even after the Devontae Adams trade, because I know the Steelers had their hand in that pot for a little bit.
Yeah.
But even after the Devontae Adams trades, I've been hearing rumors, not from serious sources or anything, but I've heard that the Steelers have been shopping for another wide receiver. Now, Cooper Cup going onto the market like this, I could definitely see them trying to go after him. But the other name was Mike Williams. I
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have?
I
Mike Williams.
don't know.
but I don't know.
Mike.
What do you guys think of that? I mean, the Cooper Cup playing in Pittsburgh with. We'll talk about it later, but Russell Wilson.
Hey, the real question is Cooper Cup or Mike? Anytime a guy's named Mike, he's destined for greatness. So never heard a guy named Cooper Cup win Triple Crown and do it 3 times. And I'm just kidding. Anyways, any day, dude, you would definitely take Cooper Cup. I mean, it's no brainer. The Steelers that would allow them to do a lot more with their offense. I think we mentioned this earlier too. It would open up George Pickens a lot more. That guy is just so incredible. You just throw the ball anywhere.
Talk about stealing thunder. That was my point. Freaking
Um,
jackass.
I say it better.
We didn't say it earlier.
Anyways,
That's why Wes said to save for the podcast. No, just go ahead. Keep going.
oh, just kidding. No, but for like all I'm gonna say is that you can throw the ball to anywhere with George Pickens, and he can go grab it for you. Especially with him being such a deep threat kind of guy, like this would be awesome for it. Like it's almost having a guy that can like he Cooper Cup really plays really well in the slot as well, even though he's not a slot. Like he's always the main guy. This would be just the perfect combo for the Steelers, and if they can make it happen, do it now so that the 49ers don't get him, please.
I don't think the Rams would do that, but yeah, I think
It
Mike
could happen.
Williams. Yeah, in division trades though, they're pretty tough. That
Giants, Eagles, idiots.
that was just free
I know it
agency,
wasn't
but
a trade. I know it wasn't a trade, but still.
No, obviously Cooper Cup is better. Mike Williams might be easier. I'm sure you could get Mike Williams for next to nothing. But if I'm the Steelers, man, and especially the team you got, the defense you got, and if, like you said, we'll get into it a little bit later, if you can get better quarterback play, more consistent offense, seems like things are already opening up. You put Cooper Cup in there, and George Pickens already being that deep guy that he is, Cooper Cup can play at any level, so it's just going to open up more for Pickens. I think that's kind of a perfect fit there.
For sure.
Puts Cooper Cup on a team that can contend, and then also makes the Steelers, like, I think, legit contenders if you get a guy like that.
But
So
see,
I would give up. That's the
that,
hard thing, because I was going to say Devontae Adams went for a third after the Raiders were like, we want a second. So the Rams are saying the same thing. I don't know if you. I think Cooper Cup's younger with the injuries. I don't know. I think it's easier for a fan to say you'd give up a second. I think I would. What do you think?
the problem is that the Steelers, as of history, have not traded high picks. The Steelers build. They're traditionally
Yes.
built off the draft.
Hmm.
That's where most of our top talent is from the draft. We draft pretty well. And to give up a second round pick for a receiver that seemingly is hurt every season, especially with a veteran quarterback in Stafford that is not going to put him in harm's way like 90% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
it's just I know Cooper Kupp would definitely change the offense too. I mean, you got George Pickens. Get into it later. Dude's a fucking dog again. And then you add Cooper Kupp that could run any route in your book. You know what I mean? That's what's different about Cooper Kupp is that he could run any route that you want him to run, and he will master it. And he's good. That's his cream of the crop. That's how he gets separation is his route running. And that would definitely change the Steelers' offense for the better.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point though about them being very traditional. They always have been. Tomlin is that way, so it's risky. Well, not risky, but just would be unique for them to do. But might be something that if you want to really prove that you can be better than, like we said, the 9-8 team, this automatically makes you better than a 9-8 team. And hell, we keep saying we'll get into it later. Let's just get into it. Let's just talk about it. Sunday Night Football, bud. Steelers and Jets. And I know this was one of your picks, so I'll just let you get into it, Mr. Steeler boy.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to think anymore, man. Like, I was really expecting Russell Wilson to come into that game and have an average game. Not come into the game and do what he did. He definitely started off really slow, had to get the rust off. He hasn't played in almost a full year, something like that, because I think the Broncos sat him.
They sat him towards the end of the season. I can't remember how many games. It wasn't I don't want to say it was
like 4 games, maybe 3 games.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. That sounds right.
But I mean, to not play football for that long, I just feel like is you have to get the rust off. And it took a while to do that. I was like, this offense is basically the same offense that with Justin Fields, except Justin Fields can actually run the fucking ball. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only difference in that offense that was to start the game. And then Russell Wilson took one deep shot that it just ignited the whole Steelers offense and just made it look like an actual contending offense. You know what I mean?
Well, and the funny thing about maybe this was the pass. I saw it a couple of times. You know better than me, but those balls Pickens was not wide open. Like, no. Pickens had to make juggling, crazy, insane catches. One. Yeah, but Russell threw it to him, and look what happened. And that's something that you haven't seen. Yep,
and that's something that Justin Fields hasn't done because, like we were saying, the Steelers told him that this is what you need to do for us to win, and he followed it to a T. Mm-hmm. He did everything what he was told to do. We won games. Now you get the spark from Russell Wilson being the savvy veteran and taking the deep shot and not giving – I mean, you give a shit if you throw a pick, but if you have a 50-50 ball to one of the best contested catchers in the league, you take that fucking shot. And I even saw Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett would do it too. He'd take his shots to George Pickens. I mean, granted, it was always the same exact route on the edge of the sideline, 15 yards down the field. But I don't know. I mean, you got to take your shots, and Russell did that, and it ignited the offense to a offense that I haven't seen in 4 years. You know what I mean? It was actually an offense that was I'm excited to watch this offense come on the field. You know what I mean?
Fuck, here we go. Can we survive this series, please?
Yeah. It's not like, oh, okay, yeah, 3 and out. Yep, defense, get a turnover. We need a turnover.
Field position.
Yeah,
we got to play that game.
It was exciting to see an actual offensive game. I mean, granted, the defense did its fucking thing. I want to throw a shout out to I can't remember his name right now. We have a rookie defensive back that picked off Aaron Rodgers twice. Rookie, undrafted rookie.
Like that.
I mean, that's just unheard of for Aaron Rodgers to throw an interception in the first place, but then to have a rookie undrafted, one of them wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault, but
it's always his fault.
But just amazing game from both sides of the ball, and you can finally see what the talent on offense can do and what this team is capable of, I feel like, off of this game, and it might be giving me some false hope. Russell Wilson can go and shit the bed next week, and I could be all wrong about all of this, but it gives you hope for an offense to actually do something.
Well, yeah, I
Beanie
think
Bishop Jr., by the way. That's
Beanie
the
Bishop Jr. Yep.
2 interceptions on that game.
all I gotta say is Jets, 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 Jets.
Jets are Jetson, baby.
Suck. They suck, bro. It wasn't Robert Sala's fault. Obviously, they've lost 2 games since he's been fired, right? Um, they get
A lot
Devontae
of times you
Adams,
get that head coach fire bump, like the team plays
way
motivated
better.
the next
Yeah.
week and everything.
Now it shows that he didn't even get to say his goodbye, so maybe that's still weighing on him, or it's probably it wasn't Robert Sala's fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. It's just a guy named Aaron Rodgers who wants to control everything and still sucks. He's like, let me go get all the receivers that I used to throw the ball to, all the running backs I used to throw to, and everything. Still sucks. So I love the Steelers beating the Jets. Couldn't be more happier. Ashwagandha, Alaska, is now working for him.
Not working out. Before I lay into the Jets, because I sure do love to do that, I did want to talk about like how amazing the Steelers are playing, and I think the culture mostly because in Fields' interview, once it got announced that Russell Wilson would be the starter or probably would, he said that he could have ended the QB debate by playing better and said that he didn't think he played well enough to earn the job outright. And I think that's awesome. And I think that, excuse me, you can really build off that and do what you wanted to do, Wes, like you've been talking about, where you can have Fields possibly be your future guy, and sit behind Russell Wilson now. If Russell Wilson continues to play this well, and if he doesn't, then you can go back to him now. Because if Russell Wilson starts playing bad, it's not like you really care. At the end of the day, you just let him go and he moves on. But if he plays great, then that's just win-win for you guys. So I think that's awesome of Justin Fields to do. And then before we finish out, because Wes, I'm a big stats guy. I was looking at this earlier and I thought this was just nuts because now Baltimore and Pittsburgh both tied for first in the AFC North at 5-2, playing very different ball games. The Baltimore Ravens have scored 218 points. The Pittsburgh Steelers have scored 161, but the Baltimore defense has allowed 180, and the Pittsburgh defense has only allowed 101. And that's also compared to Cincinnati, which is 166, and then Cleveland 162. So you're talking 60 less points than anybody else in your division. That's nuts. I feel like even though we know the Steelers' defense is amazing, it's still not getting talked about this year.
It never does, bro. It never does. And I think that's what happened last season, too. Not going to get on my fucking high horse about it, but I just feel like
We can do it for you.
the Steelers defense
Want me to
just
pull
never
the Pat McAfee and do the
yeah.
there we go.
The Steelers defense has just never gotten the credit it deserves, I feel like. And even last season, all around. I mean, you guys make fun of the TJ Watt thing with Myles Garrett winning defensive player of the year. You guys make fun of that, but it's just the blatant disrespect of a defense that is extremely good and hasn't had an offense to back it up in the slightest. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's what kills the defense, because the defense needs time off the field. It's a lot more. It takes a lot more energy, I feel like, to play defense than it does offense. And I mean, those guys are on the field 24/7, and like wide receivers can switch in and out. Defensive backs don't. You know what I mean? They stay on the field the whole drive. And so I just, I getting off my high horse, but the Steelers defense has been a top defense, I think top 3 defense in the league for the past at least 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you there. So it'll be interesting to see how they go going forward. Hopefully for you guys, Russell Wilson continues to play like he did and take those shots. It'll be better for Pickens and better for the whole team. Because I think another thing too, we haven't talked about, Najee continues to look better and better and look like he belonged to be, a first round pick for you guys. So that is also awesome to see for him.
Hey, north and south, buddy.
North and south.
North and south, buddy. That's the only thing that I've seen change about his game is that he actually runs north and south.
He
Look
ran
how it
pretty.
works out.
He ran pretty far north on that touchdown that he didn't get touched, and he made it to the end zone. So, all right, yeah. Now let's lay into the Jets a little bit. So, I think Feisty will love this stat. Last season, after they lost Aaron Rodgers and had to play with Mr. Zach Wilson, the Jets started their first 7 games 4-3, and they've started this season 2-5. And I'll tell you what, as if my football life hasn't been like tough enough lately, my takes from these past couple of weeks, boy, because I was defending Aaron Rodgers and now he continues to throw picks, which he never does. Oh, man. So that's just another tough thing to see. And then another crazy thing to finish this out really quick, because we've been talking about it all year. Hassan Reddick ends his holdout. The Jets agreed to waive it was $12 million in fines that he had and structure it back into his contract. And he reported back with the team on Monday. So guess it's all over and done. The new, was it David Mulligeta, found a way to get the deal done, and we'll see if Hassan Reddick gets on the field, helps out that pass rush this season.
So
Well,
stupid.
their defense has always been super good, right? Like that's what people don't understand. Salah built that team for defense. He's a defensive coach, and they've always been good. And now, if he would have been there, and somehow, if he could have stayed, if and having Hassan Reddick back, I think that would have been insane for him. But it sounds like it was Salah's fault and not Mr. Aaron Rodgers. So, are you
I
telling me
still,
Zach Wilson's is better than Aaron Rodgers?
I still don't think that this is the piece that the Jets needed at all. Even getting Hassan Reddick back, I mean that pass rush is still pretty lethal
Yeah,
without him there. The one downside to their defense, I mean their secondary is depleted right now.
Mm-hmm.
They almost look like the Dallas Cowboys in the DB
yeah.
department. You know what I mean? And then and their rushing defense hasn't been the
Still
best
not
this
even.
season.
Well, they're not even rushing the ball. Like they're still not like running the ball. Like they did better these last 2 games, but they're still not running it. Like they complain about how much they weren't running the ball. So like it's just interesting to me because Jets will always be
The Jets.
Jets.
Exactly. So, well, that was Sunday Night Football. Let's get back into the regular Sunday slate. We'll talk about a couple of NFC East rivals of Feisty, the Giants and Eagles. And boy, did the Eagles fly to a score I like to hear, 28-3. And this was not much of a game. Obviously, Eagles crushed them, and Saquon Barkley had a hell of a day. The Giants did not. Daniel Jones actually benched in this game. Finally, I guess. I mean, I think Giants fans have been waiting for it. Another kind of interesting, crazy thing: Malik Neighbors, he returned after 2 weeks missing with a concussion, and he said that he had no memory of the play that knocked him out a couple of weeks ago. So scary thought there. But yeah, other than that, Saquon just freaking dominated this game. Eagles never had to really worry about the Giants.
Yeah. Eventually the Eagles did fly. Sucks because
Wow.
I hate the Eagles flying anywhere. But the Giants suck, dude. I'm sorry, the Giants suck. Daniel Dimes is not good. I don't know why they still have him or why they even kept him this season.
Because they paid
Um,
him so much fucking money. I think they gave him like 40 million a year or something. I think they even said that in the Hard Knocks. They're like,
this guy sucks.
gotta go. We gotta go with him. Like, we have to see. This is
See
his
what he
last. I
said.
think it's his last year. I think.
Well, that's good. I hope it's their last year because this guy sucks. But I mean, the good thing is the Eagles were able to put a beat down on them, and then the cool story and the good feel about it is Saquon Barkley doing just good things that he does. Is he what's his name came up to him and asked him,
Nick
"Hey,
Sirianni, the head
yeah,
coach.
as coach of the Eagles. And he just was like, "Hey, do you want? You're having a career game. You're having a career day. You want me to put you back in? Are you ready?" And he's like, "No, go ahead and He's like, no, go ahead and let the young guys eat. I thought that was a really cool thing that we even got it on. I think he was mic'd. One of them was mic'd up,
Hmm.
and so he's like, go ahead and give him some runs, let the young guys eat. When he could have had a really good career game, and had his highest career rushing yards or whatever it was. And so cool for him. I think that's cool not to be selfish. And it probably, in a way, sometimes that's a blessing because what if, you start to think, what if he would have got hurt? But then,
Right.
so it's a good thing that he's like that kind of a guy to say, hey, let the young guys get some runs. Let's let them eat too. So that was really
Yeah,
cool.
love to hear that from him. All right, well, let's move into some good games. One of the best games in the 11 o'clock slot was Packers and Texans, and it delivered. Even though C.J. Stroud he struggled on the day, I found it funny. There were so many memes, and everybody was posting his stats. I think he might have been under 50% completion percentage and only 86 yards. Yeah, it was 10 for 21 for 86 yards. You're acting like CJ Stroud hasn't lit up everybody else like every other
Yeah.
game almost. But yeah, he struggled, but the Texans were in it and it was a really good game. Jordan Love does what Jordan Love does, and he either throws amazing touchdowns or stupid picks.
Yeah.
And he did that on the very first drive. He threw a pick, but the Packers defense is kind of the unsung hero. They were able to hold the Texans to a field goal on that. And after that, Packers get a touchdown. Tucker Kraft out of nowhere. This guy, I know our buddy Sean really loves him. He's got him on his fantasy team, although I think he's benched him for Laporta, which has been not so good for him. But Kraft continues to ball and be one of Jordan Love's favorite targets. And after that, goes back and forth. We get 7 total lead changes in this game before the Packers walk it down and get a walk-off field goal with no time remaining, win the game 24-22. So go Pack, go.
I love Jordan Love's comeback story after how he had to start the season. Um, and I, I, this young Packers team is still showing up after what they did last season,
Right.
which is big, and I still don't feel like they have a number one receiver there in Green Bay. I mean, you might be able to say Tucker Kraft, but I would
Dobbs was their
say
leading. He had 8 for 94. Everybody else had 3. So he kind of got the lion's share of the targets, I guess, in this game. But like you say, week to week, you got Jaden Reed will be
it
the guy
changes.
that gets,
Yeah.
and then Christian Watson, so.
Yeah. So I mean, there's still. I mean, if you forget about the whole Romeo Dubs controversy a couple
Mhm.
weeks ago, I mean, this team is a very giving team. I feel like they don't have to fight over if they get touches or not in this specific game. They're very team oriented in that way, and I think that's just the culture in Green Bay, and that's what they wanted to establish with such a young team. Um, and this, I don't know, man. The Packers, I feel like, are going to be surprising come playoff time again this
You
year.
still got them thinking out of the NFC North.
I still do.
And that's what's crazy, man. That division's so, when we'll get into it a little bit later, but they're still third place in the NFC North. That's just how crazy good it is. And but after seeing this game, beating up a really good Texans team, like, yeah, how could you deny him? And I think Feisty, for you, uh, I think we can't deny that Matt LaFleur is a really good coach, and it looks like they're getting even better after they moved on from a certain guy.
Yeah, I mean, we're suffering from that certain coach that you're talking about. Um, let's just say it out loud. It's Mike McCarthy, the guy's booty cheeks. He I'm happy for Jordan Love. I think that this game was just the game that he needed to show out against a tough team, even though they've been playing really well against other teams. It sucked for my fantasy team
Of
because
course.
I have basically all of Texans. I'm not even kidding you guys. I have CJ Stroud, I have Diggs, and I have Mixon, and only one of those guys did really
Mixon has
well,
been
which was
killing it. Yeah.
Mixon. So Diggs didn't do anything. There was that scuffle at the beginning of the game, and so I think they always have. He just seems to have battles. I really don't like
Well,
Diggs,
did
to
you see
be
what he
honest with you.
said? He's like, I'll never be the bigger guy.
Yeah,
And I was
I'm
like,
gonna
well, what a statement to make there. You just
after
fully admit
after
it.
the things I've heard from him with you know what, um, I don't blame
What
him. I think
happens in Houston stays in Houston, right?
yeah, except Diggs. Diggs is a freaking huge time. He just is shenanigans. That's why I don't like shenanigans, and I feel like that's what he is. Sometimes, even though he's a really good player, I feel like he does too much crap sometimes to like get himself in trouble. And I think the Packers defense just took that personal because he didn't do jack shiz. And CJ Stroud, you know, I know that he's been balling out. I still believe in him. I still think that they're the best team in Dallas, as I said. Um, still can't believe I said that. But it just shows that they're still, you know, there's some weaknesses to them, and but good game for the Packers. Really, Jordan Love just continues to ball out, and I like Jordan Love. He's a Utah guy, from Utah State, and so we'll always support our Utah guys, and so
What, the
it showed a
second
good
best
game
team
for
in
them.
Utah or something?
No, I don't think they were ever second, third, or fourth best team. So
I think the joke just went.
no, I got it. BYU was still better than them,
I know. That's why I said second best.
and Utah was way better than them.
Hmm.
I don't think he's getting
What?
it, honestly.
I'm saying that Utah. Never mind. Go ahead.
Utah State's
Anyways,
better than
Utah State still
Utah.
That
sucks.
was the joke.
Utah
Anyways,
State's better
I
than
don't get your
Utah.
jokes. It's not funny. No, that's funny. But great game for the Packers, and hopefully the Texans kind of bounce back because that was a tough game for my fantasy team. After for the first time, they popped off, got 136 points, but I needed a lot more from Mr. Diggs and a lot more from Mr. CJ Stroud. But I'm sure they'll bounce back. So
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. Even that maybe CJ Stroud's worst game, and they lost by 2 after a
yeah,
walk-off field goal. They still had the lead in the fourth quarter, so that's pretty damn impressive. And one other like kind of crazy thing to note: this Josh Jacobs got his first receiving touchdown
there
of
we
his
go.
career. I think it was like 212 or 11 receptions, and he got his first receiving touchdown. I couldn't believe that, but. Let's move along. Let's move into the America's Game of the Week, a game of two amazing quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy, and the Super Bowl rematch. So to start it off, Ricky Purcell, like we talked about, he made his debut back on the field. So awesome to see that. Someone who barely made it on the field, Debo Samuel. He ended up getting sick in pregame warmups. Tried to play. He was out there in a few snaps, but didn't get it targeted. Didn't really run any real routes. Later on in that night, he was hospitalized with pneumonia. So he's been dealing with that. He was released from the hospital today, I believe, still recovering. So hopefully he gets better and feels better soon. And then they were already without Jawan Jennings. He was ruled out for this game. And then, unfortunately, like I said, we were talking about this trade, Brandon Ayuk. He got carted off after suffering a knee injury, which turned out to be both an ACL and MCL tear. I
Ugh.
hate to hear that for him and the 49ers, man. They're the the new Dallas Cowboys. They are feeling it right now with all these injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks because of all the drama that happened with Brandon Ayuk throughout the offseason. All this stuff, and now all the receivers are getting injured. Like I read the injury list, and all these guys are injured, and then they have three. I believe they have three healthy wide receivers on the roster as it is.
Maybe with
That are
Jawan Jennings if he is
fully
healthy.
that are yeah
Oh,
well
fully.
fully healthy receivers on the roster on the main roster. They have three.
Okay, gotcha.
And they're three guys that I've never heard their names before.
Right.
Um, and I don't know if I definitely don't think Jawan Jennings can be that number one guy. So hopefully Debo can come
He did
back as
have
soon as
a
possible. I know he had a good game, but that's with Brandon Ayuk on the field as well.
That's
You
true.
know,
that's
so
true.
Going through, I did see this. So total, obviously we have Christian McCaffrey who's had his Achilles injury. Hopefully he's coming back in the next week or two. We shall see. Brandon Ayuk, who we mentioned, Deebo Samuel, you mentioned, George Kittle's dealing with a foot injury. A guy that I know you've been high on, Wes, Talona Hafunga, he's been out with a wrist injury this season. Dre Greenlaw, I don't know how I forgot about him. He's had an Achilles injury. He's been out the entire season. And then they lost their kicker, Jake Moody, who was one of the best. Juwan Jennings has been hurt, and then Javon Hargrave. So, I mean, you're talking about key guys on that team. So
That's a lot of
they're
their
definitely
core.
going through it. Yeah.
That's a lot of their core. That's a lot of their core that's taken them very deep into the playoffs every year.
Well, and they
Yep.
just barely, they were saying they're going to look at the receiver market and see what they can do after they've lost pretty much everybody. I think it's going to help with getting Christian McCaffrey whenever his bitch ass decides to come play.
Jesus.
Sounds like somebody has him in fantasy.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Goes
somebody
off.
has him in fantasy and is 0-7.
Oh my god, dude.
In fantasy.
I've never sucked so bad in fantasy. This man wins Wesley, literally carries Wesley to the
He
championship.
wasn't my only guy.
Okay, CD
And I
Lamb
drafted
too.
him third.
CD
I
Lamb
drafted
too.
him
Okay,
third
sorry.
last year.
It was CD Lamb and Christian McCaffrey, period. You can't argue anybody else. But this
And
man
they both
carried
have
your
done nothing
team.
this year.
I guess who drafted them both?
I have CD. What are you talking about?
I have CD in Stam's
In a
league.
different one. Okay.
Or in a different league. Not, I don't know if it's... Anyways, regardless, whenever Christian McCaffrey's bitch ass decides to play...
Double down on it.
Sorry.
Well, I hope Christian McCaffrey hears this and just trucks the shit out of you, and then we
Christian
see
McCaffrey quit being a little bitch and get your butt from all the way from Germany to back here and start playing again, because I think that's going to help Mr. Brock Purdy look good again. And this 49ers team that's just hurting, I think they just need something to help them. And Christian McCaffrey was that guy last year for them. He won MVP for a reason, because he carried that whole team to... Didn't he win MVP?
No.
Or what did he win? The offensive player of the year.
Offensive player of the year, yeah.
My bad. Offensive
he
player
did.
of the year. My fault. That sounded stupid, but offensive player of the year.
It has some journalistic integrity here.
You are the Dallas fan.
It's true. Christian McCaffrey's still a bitch. Anyway, and I, once again, another team that I don't like. 49ers, baby. 49ers will always be 49ers. And I do feel for them because the Dallas Cowboys are going through the same thing with all their injuries. But it really will be very helpful if they can really get, like, all jokes aside with my fantasy stuff. This team actually really needs Christian McCaffrey more than ever, and so as soon as he can come back, I think that's going to be a big game changer for them. And like I said, he's going to make Brock Purdy look pretty.
Well, getting back into the game, the Chiefs end up winning, end up finding a way to chief, and now they're 6-0. But man, like I said, not a good week for Kyle's football teams or Kyle's football takes, because after our whole argument about Brock Purdy, and then I compared him to Patrick Mahomes, both of these guys. So Mahomes goes 16 for 27 for a whopping 154 yards and 2 interceptions, while Brock Purdy goes for 17 for 31 for 212 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. This was not a good game, really. It was not fun to watch. It wasn't even that it was like a defensive game. Like, these quarterbacks were playing terrible. And it's really kind of crazy that the Chiefs are still finding a way to win and are the only undefeated team right now. And then I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but that Patrick Mahomes scramble that he had for, like, I think it was like 35 yards. What the hell? First of all, that's the only time I've ever seen, like, Fred Warner miss on anything. And I don't really think it was his fault. I think the angle, it was tough, but how the hell didn't he get lit the hell up? I feel like he stopped on the sideline almost, and nobody freaking touched him. Like,
I
they
can
were
tell
all
you exactly
scared to
why.
hit him.
I can
And
tell
I'm
you
like,
exactly
light
why.
his ass up, dude. Freaking kill him. But it's not the
Freaking
NFL
kill
we're
him.
living in anymore.
Whoa. Okay, I called Christian McCaffrey a bitch, but you're saying kill him? That must
Yeah,
be
I'm talking about just tackle the freaking guy, man.
Oh no, we
I've
heard it. You said kill him.
hey, I've got
You
to.
said this.
But you know what the defense said? Play the
Uh,
Ravens. Play the Ravens.
no, no, it's just funnier.
Did you see what I'm talking about?
I did see it,
Well, clearly that's why you're having the reaction.
but it's
Anyway.
even funnier because you said it. So you love Patrick Mahomes, so that's why.
Well, I just mean hit the guy, like tackle him, but they basically just let him walk down Broadway for 35 yards.
Do you want me to tell you my fucking hot button topic with this whole fucking issue? All right, this is why Josh Allen's a good running quarterback in the league, and this is the same reason why Patrick Mahomes didn't get lit up, was because of the roughing the quarterback or whatever the fucking play is when they slide, whatever that penalty called, the unnecessary roughness.
Yeah.
Absolute horseshit. That's why Fred Warner couldn't light him up. That's why the 49ers, that's why they couldn't light up Patrick Mahomes. And it's the same reason why Josh Allen gets to truck 3 players on his way to the end zone every week. Is because, and I want to bring up Josh Allen specifically because he'll run and truck through 3 guys, and then the next play he'll run and slide. So what is the defense supposed to do? You know what I mean? You can't go full speed at this guy.
Right.
And then with the Patrick Mahomes thing, he's running on the sideline. And if you just lay a finger on a quarterback that's acting like he's going to go out of bounds, unnecessary roughness call.
And I feel like he knew that, and that's how he got
That's
down.
exactly what's happening, bro. The
Yep.
quarterbacks know it's happening. It's just
Yep.
like Kenny Pickett's fake slide in college. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's bullshit. That call is bullshit. I understand that you're trying to protect the player. I do, but the quarterbacks are taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And it's really hurting defenses because then you get guys that you can't lay a finger on the quarterback. And that's why Josh Allen is so good at running the football. That's why Patrick Mahomes doesn't get, because I've seen that call on Patrick Mahomes where, like he's running out of bounds and then he takes a step forward and then steps out of bounds and then gets tapped like this and gets an unnecessary roughness call.
Yep.
Because quarterbacks will run right at the sideline and then juke 2 yards forward to get the extra 2 yards because the defense can't touch them. I don't know, man. It pisses me off every week. Every time I see a quarterback do that, because I'm a very defensive guy myself. I played middle linebacker in high school. Like this, it's so irritating to watch the rules of the game favor offense so much.
That's why I said kill him, Feist. Do you even understand it at all anymore? There he goes. But no, you're 100% right, dude. And that's the thing, because if anybody does light him up, oh, he was trying to go out of bounds here. Wow, that was so unnecessary. But Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he was just tiptoeing, just waiting. He wasn't like he was running fast or anything. He just was sitting there. So yeah, it's bullshit in my opinion too. I hate it.
Goes tiptoe to the window, by the window.
Feist is really trying to piss me off in this.
I was just here to play devil's advocate, and I don't like the Chiefs either. So you said it all, man. I do agree. I remember the days like the Ray Lewis era where they would just kill people coming through the line. The League of Boom or whatever they were called in Seattle.
Legion.
They just
James
Legion
Harrison.
of Boom.
Legion
James
of Boom.
Harrison literally putting people in hospitals.
Yeah, like those were, in a way, looking back at it now, you can kind of tell why they kind of went away from that a little bit. But at the same time, you can't turn it into a flag
It's
football
football,
type of
bro.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
football.
you can't make
You
it
gotta
where it's
sign up
college
for it.
football, and you can't let quarterbacks get away with what they're getting away with because they're smart and they know what they're doing. So I agree with you guys.
All right. Well, let's move along. Let's get into our picks. Like you said, I picked the team that plays against the Panthers, and what happened? The Commanders killed the Panthers 40-7. Not even, never close. And this was with Jaden Daniels getting injured in the first quarter. Unfortunately, suffered a rib injury, quickly was ruled out for the game. it is considered week to week. They're hopeful he can play next week. But so we'll have to check in on that. And then your boy, feisty Marcus Mariota, come in and he lit it up. He played really well. Didn't, albeit it was against the Panthers, but still, it's an NFL team. He's a backup quarterback, and he looked good out there.
It just shows that he still got it, and that Tennessee messed up when they went with Ryan Tannehill. Never let that one go. Never gonna let that one go. So it was good to see he even scrambled for like a first down, and it looked like the old Marcus Mariota. And you know what? If he can get the job done for them, I don't know if next week is gonna be a different game because, like you said, it's against the Panthers. So next week might be a different game where he looks like old Marcus Mariota, or he just looks booty cheeks. So, but good for him to get that opportunity
Wait,
and
I
prove
thought that
himself.
was old Marcus Mariota.
No, no,
Oh,
old Marcus Mariota.
like when he was at Oregon.
No, when he was at Tennessee and they screwed him.
Anyways, yeah. So not much else to talk about in that game is the Panthers. Let's move to the underdog of the week for me. Let's move on to it. Again, here we go. So I thought this was a good pick, but I guess the odds makers knew a lot more than I did. I picked the Patriots as 5.5 underdogs against the Jaguars, and they lost. They lost 32-16 in London to the team that just lost 50 to 3 or something against the Bears a week before. We started out okay. We led. It was our first opening drive touchdown of the season. Drake May led us right down. But then we did a thing which we've talked about on this podcast. You want to be able to run the ball and stop the run, especially in today's NFL. They couldn't do either. Ramondre did absolutely nothing. And then the Jags at one point, they ran the ball 18 straight times. And I'm pretty sure on like every one of those runs, they got positive yards. And we just got our ass kicked. But the one good thing, let's see if you guys can see this, if you can tell. That's Drake May as the Bugatti in the trailer park that is the Patriots. Man, he does continue to impress. He is literally the only good thing. He threw for 2 touchdowns in this game, no turnovers. I think I saw something that he was the first quarterback with 5 touchdowns, and I can't remember some stat. It was only him and Dan Marino or something like that. So he's come out and he's played really well. But the rest of the team is not doing anything right now. And Gerard Mayo called him out for it, and he called them soft after the loss. Now, this is my new hot button, and it's his first season, and I've been blessed, like you said, Wes, with the best, coach in NFL history, and I've been blessed with the Patriots' success, so maybe I'm just something that I'm not used to, but I'm getting really fucking sick and tired of Gerard Mayo. I'm getting really tired of him right now. To call the team soft is something that Bill Belichick never did. Now, Bill would always come back and say, like, we got to coach better. We got to coach better publicly. Now, you'll hear stories of players being, Bill ripped into my ass. He ripped into my ass, or he ripped into my ass in front of the whole team within closed doors. But for Gerard Mayo, yeah.
It's a respect thing. Both ways.
Yes, exactly. Bill always came out, and he even came out on the McAfee, and he said this team was the number one. So the Patriots last year, kind of defending himself, I think, but he said the last year this group was number 1 against the run in defense. And that's even with us being 3-14. And what he mentioned, and it's true, a lot of them were the same guys. Now there's a lot of injuries on the Patriots team, but still some guys, Godchow, Kyle Duggar, Dietrich Wise, all these guys were already there. Like I've talked about, we basically re-signed all our guys this year, especially on the defensive side. So I'm getting like annoyed, and you already know how I felt about the Gatorade bath and how they were and how excited they were. Game balls were going to everyone after game 1, and now look what we've done. This is exactly what I said, like, you win this one game, what the hell happens when you go? I'm pretty sure I said 1-6, and here we fucking are. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about Gerard Mayo calling his team soft after a loss like that as the head coach?
I definitely think he's frustrated, and obviously not having. I know that the team went 3-14 under Bill last season, but I mean, there was still like a feeling that when you went and played the Patriots, that there was still a feeling there that there's a possibility you could lose. You know
We
what I
had a
mean?
lot of one-score games last year. We
Exactly.
did.
And so that's and now you play the Patriots and it's like up free win. Just like it is with the Panthers. You know what I mean? Up free win. And then your head coach to come out and call out the whole fucking team and say that they're soft. I mean, obviously that just shows all them guys that he just resigned and had faith in. He has zero faith in now. I just don't know what you do there. I mean, that's not a head coach move. I mean, all the best head coaches in the league right now would say, this is my fault. This is my first season as a head coach. It doesn't matter who you pick, like Kyle Shanahan, Mike Tomlin. Sorry, Feist, can't put your head coach in there.
I was about to say, don't put that guy in there.
Matt
That guy doesn't even know what he's doing.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur, like all the top head coaches
Dan
in
Campbell.
the league.
Robert
You don't.
Saleh.
And Dan Campbell's like
Saleh.
Dan Campbell's like the fucking epitome of what a head coach I feel like should act with his team. Like like those are all. He looks at that team and says, "You guys are all like my boys. Like I'm going to give you the respect that even I would give my kids respect." You know what I mean? And that's just, I don't know. I mean, you can't go out and say that your team's soft. You're going to have a hard season. Everybody knew it was going to be a bad season. Just fucking hike your pants up, go get a top pick, and train for next season. That's basically what you got to do at this point. So don't put down the players that you're going to have next season.
And you mentioned like confidence, right? We saw what the Tua situation with Flores was compared to Mike McDaniels. Make sure I say that right. But like the confidence. Shut up. The confidence is a big thing for players, right? Like if a coach believes in you, you're willing to fight for him. You're willing to go through anything for them. And I just feel like this is kind of a soft thing from him. Really, like why? Especially this is your first year. You don't you. I feel like you haven't. I know you're the coach. I feel like you just haven't earned that keep to say that they're soft. I think you still need to build that team. I think you need to boost the confidence and say, like Wesley said, this is on us. Let's move on. It's almost like that Arizona State guy when he was like, "We're gonna have tryouts. We need a kicker." Like, how terrible would that feel you as a kicker? Like, you already know you've messed
As a
up,
person,
and
man.
yeah, like it just sucks. It blows. It just and you saw what it did for Tua. It lost his confidence. He just was playing scared. And now you're saying this about your team when you're a first year head coach. Like that don't make sense to me. So
no, and I think that you just so frustrated, especially when you hear like at the beginning of the year, oh, it's a brand new culture. He's got the guy. Everybody's bought in. It's fresh after all. How terrible Bill Belichick was. That whole fucking narrative, which that's another hot button soapbox we don't need to get into, but it's hilarious to like hear all that shit, how it started, and now we're 1-6 and he's calling you soft. I don't understand that tactic. If that is a tactic to try and get him to play better publicly, I don't think the guys in the locker room are going to like that. I mean, they're full grown adults. It's not that's the thing. It's not even like it's a college team. Like if it was, maybe you get a little different, and then to even go further on how pissed I am at this team right now, Jalen Polk, capitalize the L maybe in your name, because this is what a bum, man. What a fucking bum. This guy, dude. He came out earlier this week. So he struggled with drops this season. He came out earlier this week, said he had the best hands in the NFL. Direct quote. He feels like he has the best hands in the NFL. Comes into this game, drops 2 more wide open passes, and then slips and falls on a 2-point conversion that would have made it a 1-score game. Might not have mattered. You never know. But it ended up being a 2-score game after. Why he would have been wide the fuck open. This fucking guy, I know you sent it to me, Feist. You sent it and asked me about it. I have no idea. And then he goes and he posts a peace sign, ... on his Instagram story before they even leave London. And I'm like, talk about culture, man. You think
Yeah.
anything like that happens in Bill Belichick? You think Bill Belichick, one, allows him to say that, or that post comes out, or anything like that? And even then, I bet you Bill Belichick would have him playing like the guy that he thinks he is at this point,
Yeah.
or even closer to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you gotta. I think at this point, it's just a culture. It's the
Yeah.
culture in the locker room. It's Gerard Mayo not having a control over the locker room. It's Gerard Mayo not having respect from the team whatsoever. Like you have to get pretty damn defensive to just shit on your whole team like he did. And then to have Jalen Polk come out and say that he's got the best hands in the league after he's probably leading the league in drops, I would assume.
Probably. Probably, and definitely not showing. We've had guys like Keyshawn Boutte. I think he was like a 6th-round pick last year, barely made the team, outperforming him. You got Kendrick Bourne definitely outperforming him. You got KJ Osborne, who hasn't really even done like everybody's outperforming him as a wide receiver right now. And I think Jake, I did see one good thing as far as like the culture. Drake May reposted a story from Jalen Polk, like saying like believe in the story, believe in the comeback, something like to that effect. Drake May reposted it. I like that move, like trying to show that you got your receivers back. But that's just out of Drake May, nothing out of the rest of this team, pretty much.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating to be a Pats fan right now. And when I saw that, I literally was like, dude, what's this guy doing? Like, do you just give up on your team? Do you not want to come back to the US? Because that was like the weirdest thing to post. Not even after you've left London. It was
Right.
like you're still like probably showering. You're still doing your things, and you're probably getting ready to leave. Like, play better, man. Like, you are right. I don't think that would have happened in the Bill Belichick era. So some coaches just make dumb decisions, so don't they?
They sure do. It's his first year. I could, like I said, this is another one I could get clipped for this, and Rod Mayo can turn it all around in a year or two. It's just not starting out the way way you hope. I mean, you thought we would at least be playing a little bit better, like Wes said. Even though we were 3-14 last year, you didn't look at many of the games as, oh, we can just go walk in and get a win. And now I feel like especially if even the Jags can do that. Jags have been dog shit this year, and they did that to us. So, but the good news is we lost a very important game because they are dog shit. So now we have that tiebreaker and one less win than them. So we're still number one in the draft order as of right now. Will Campbell from LSU, baby. Let's go. That's another thing. We don't have to get into it too crazy, but I've been seeing all the mock drafts I'm seeing is Travis Hunter going to the Patriots. And personally, I don't want that. And not that he wouldn't make us way better. I understand that, but it's almost like the thing we've talked about with Jamar Chase going to the Bengals when Penei Sewell was there. And look at what Penei Sewell's doing for the Lions versus what Jamar Chase is doing for the Bengals. Both good, but I want a lineman. I want a good lineman. That's what I want.
We'll see if that happens with the number one overall pick.
Well, I mean, we're not going to pick a quarterback, so I hope that we can maybe trade it, get some other assets or something, but we need a lineman. We definitely, especially a left tackle. Let's fucking go. So, let's move along. Oh, before we get out from this, Feist, I hope you will like to see this, although I think he
Makes
dropped his
no
ass.
sense to
But
me.
Doug Peterson still said ETN is the number one running back, even though Tank Bigsby has clearly outperformed him to this point in the season. I
So
love
stupid.
Tank Bigsby, and I don't understand why you would still back ETN like that.
There's a
Because
reason why they are the second worst team in the league.
There you go.
Doug Pearson's an absolute idiot. Like that
There
don't
you go.
they literally don't make sense to me. This guy, the both games that I put him in my fantasy team, he's balled out. He's at least gotten 100 yards and at least a touchdown. And this one, he got two touchdowns. Like He why? What do you have on Etienne? Like he's not doing anything for you.
Mm-mm.
He
And maybe it'd be better for him to be a running back too, be a little more fresher, not take as many reps and kind
yeah,
of rejuvenate his career. But
yeah.
like Wes said, that's why they're second worst team. I don't know, Wes. You're forgetting about another AFC North, which we'll get into in just a sec after we get through my random pick, which is the Colts over the Dolphins. I just picked them because Tua wasn't going to be back this week. Colts beat the Dolphins in maybe the worst game of the week, 13-10. Tyler Huntley goes down in this game, but Tua is on track to start this next week, come back, and I know Dolphins fans, Dolphins player fantasy owners are very excited about this because that entire team, Sean, our buddy, was showing me Devon A-Chain stats, and he had like 20 something plus points week 1, week 2. Tua goes down, has only broke double digits once, and that was like 10.5 or something like that. So I think it's directly correlated. And Tua and Jalen Waddle have been atrocious. I know it must be rough if people are still starting them, but I think this kind of proves, man, Tua is good. Tua is good for that system. Tua is good for those players, so hopefully that'll make them better. But I'm excited to see him back. It seems like he's fired up, ready to go. I think he's kind of pissed about the whole narrative about him maybe not coming back and playing. So good for him. Good for Dolphins fans. We'll see if that gets their season back on track. But yeah, so I get the 5 points because the Colts beat the Dolphins.
Should we get into my picks now, boys?
Let's do it.
I've kind of turned it around a little bit.
A little bit.
I
A little
mean,
bit.
I
Little
know,
by
I
little.
know, I got to climb the fucking mountain now. But my lock this last week was the Bengals, who were favorites over the Browns. Once again, anybody against the Browns, I think you have to pick. Just like anybody against the Panthers, anybody against the Patriots.
You could have just left it at.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the only reason why they had a huge favorite over them. Had to get the lock on that one. Deshaun Watson. You
Oh
can
no.
you boys let me know if you were a Browns fan, what would you feel about this? I know Feist wants to say something, but
Looks like
Deshaun Watson
it.
gets carted off with an apparent Achilles injury on a non-contact play.
And it was ruled
And it was
officially that he
it
had an
was
Achilles injury. He's out for the
uh,
season.
Dude, it
yeah.
looked disgusting though. Did you guys see the slow motion?
It's
Like
kind
you
of
could
like
literally see it pop.
Rogers. Yep.
Mm-hmm. See it just shoot right back up into his calf.
I would say Browns fans are excited. Feisty, what do you think?
I truly feel bad for the guy. I really do, because that's never a good. You never wish upon an injury on anybody. As
As he's laughing, he can't get through the
yeah, what I'm laughing at is James Winston. James Winston gave a speech after. He's like,
Okay, yeah, that makes
"Mom,
sense.
my mom always told me to love." He was just
Never
he's
root a guy
very emotional.
against a guy when he's down. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
like
always there for
literally.
my boys.
Anyway, I wasn't
Jameis
laughing
Winston,
at.
man.
Just anyways, it sucks, but it almost feels like I know it sounds weird, but it was in something needed to happen, right? For the Browns, like, and I don't want this on Deshaun Watson. I wish it would have went elsewhere, but this is gonna humble him because he did not look like he cared about that team. He did not look like he knew what that team was trying to do. For example, when we talked about that fourth down where they could have gone the play and he just walks off the field and says, I don't want to do it. But the guy's getting paid guaranteed money. Now you actually have a chance of winning games, even though you lost this game, right? You still have a chance of winning with the quarterback that actually wants to play. And Deshaun Watson gets to do what he was literally doing on the field, which was doing nothing. So all jokes aside, I hate to see it. It was disgusting. Um,
Is that the only reason why you hated to see it,
Injury,
or what?
but
It's because it was disgusting.
But anyways,
all joking aside,
Jameis
something
Winston
needs
is, I
to
think, going to
change.
be the starter going forward, I've heard. So we get to see what J-Mo can do for those Browns.
Something needed to change is all I'm saying.
All right, we'll, we'll move
I think
on
Browns
from.
fans feel the same way as you, but
We'll move
healthy
on
and
from.
quick recovery, Deshaun.
We'll move on from somebody from us wishing harm and Browns fans wishing harm on somebody.
That's Browns fans, right?
They are.
Dog shit.
Anyways, my underdog pick. We already went through this game. Steelers plus 1.5 underdogs against the Jets on Sunday Night Football.
I would have
So
never
dumb.
thought that.
That didn't work out very well for you.
I did
The
not.
only
Should have
picked them,
actually bet on that game. Made a lot of money.
only picked them just because Jets are ass. Aaron Rodgers is ass this year.
Aaron Rodgers is.
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, we all know how that game went. We already went over it a little bit earlier. Random pick for this week. I had the Falcons, who were 3-point favorites over the Seahawks. And that pick was the one that didn't really work out. The Seahawks killed the Falcons 34-14.
When are we gonna learn not to go against the Seahawks? I learned quick 2 weeks ago.
Were they like 4-3? So I mean,
Dude, Geno Smith is just built different. He leads the league in passing yards.
yep. They throw the ball way more than anybody else, that's for sure.
Anyways, F the Seahawks. Let's get into my picks. My pick this week, of course, my boy Amari Cooper had to go over there. So my lock this week was the Bills. They were 8.5 favorites over the Titans. Was that a fun game? Not really.
Yep.
Was it a good game to watch? Not really. Did Amari Cooper get a touchdown? Yes. Did he
Because
need help
Keon
with the
Coleman
route?
told him the route.
Yes. So it was awesome to see. I feel like this is going to be, even though it didn't look like a really like a game that we could see Amari Cooper like would normally have, it was awesome because he felt like he just he needed a change of scenery. Everything in the Cleveland just needed a change, and it was cool for him to just do a quick. He didn't even know the play really. Like and it was cool for him to get the touchdown and play really well for the Bills. I think you can see now he's the number one guy there, and he's going to continue to thrive there. And it's good to see Josh Allen kind of have a number one guy again. So great game for Amari Cooper and the Bills. Not a whole lot to say there. Moving on, my underdog were the Lions. They were 2.5 underdog against the Vikings. And if you ain't on the train with the Lions, you want to hop on right about now.
I don't know. Wes is still on the Packers, but the Vikings, that other team, though, it's a great division, man. This was another one of those crazy games in the 11 o'clock slot. No offense, but really offense to the Steelers and the Jets. I don't know why we had that as Sunday Night Football. Either one of those games could have been, especially the Jets, though. Anyway, so this game was nuts. Dan Campbell does what Dan Campbell does, which is be aggressive and do some crazy shit that nobody else does. He called a fake punt on his own 20, 25-yard line. Didn't work. Vikings get the touchdown off of that. They go up 10-0 before Jahmyr Gibbs pulled Ashton Genty, literally, and started lining up in the backfield like Ashton Genty does, just standing up. And
like Michael Myers.
Yep, exactly.
He's going to start a trend, bro. I think he's going to start a trend.
It's because I almost noticed too. They fall forward, and they get into their stride, their sprint, whatever. It seems like they can almost go faster that way, or I don't know what it is, but you're exactly right. It's going to start something. And then the Lions just went off after this. They scored 21 unanswered. Goff played another fantastic game, almost like perfect. His completion percentage was off the charts. Lions win on a walk-off field goal as well. It was on the final seconds. Vikings couldn't really do anything, so they get their first loss of the season. Lions take first place in the division. One other thing, Jamison Williams gets suspended for 2 games, violating the NFL's PED policy. So 2 games, not as much as I've seen. A lot of times with PEDs, I see 4. So not as crazy. And you already know that they got wide receivers. My boy from Utah, Tim Patrick, he seemed to be lighting it up for the Lions recently. So awesome for them. And like you said, Fiz, I'm on the train with you. I think this is the Lions' year.
Yep.
Even though the defense is kind of struggling, well, not struggling even, but just without
Just
Aiden
so
Hutchinson,
haven't.
it's gonna be a struggle. I have seen that they're interested in our pass rusher, Josh Uche, which I'm more than welcome to have him, love him, but we're in a rebuild anyways. It might be good for them. Might be a little bit rejuvenating for him too, and he's super cheap, so it might be good for them. But yeah, what a hell of a game. Can't be too upset if you're a Vikings fan. I mean, you probably are because it's a division rival, but played well, proved that you still belong at the top. And this division, even though I'm on the Lions train, far from being decided.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's just what I do. I pick great teams, and you just give me points. Moving on from that, I think that. Oh, I think. Did you mention the touchdown by Jared Goff?
Which one?
The one where Amon St. Brown or whatever his name is, Amar. He threw the passing touchdown to Jared Goff.
That was last week. Wasn't that against the Cowboys? No, not the
No,
Cowboys. It was
I thought
2
it was
weeks
this
ago.
week.
He didn't catch one this week. That was, I think, 2 weeks ago. Whoever the Lions
I'm
played.
having a That's so Raven moment then. Wow. Anyways, they're just. I mean, Dan Campbell is just doing amazing things over there, and I'm really on board. I think that this
The
should be
Seahawks.
their
That was the
team.
Seahawks game. That's what it was on
Is
Monday
it
night a few
okay?
weeks ago. Yeah. Anyways,
My
yeah.
bad. It's my fault. Anyway, Raven, not so Raven moment. Um, but they're just doing great things, and I'm excited for them. So moving on from that, another great game. Um, my random, the Ravens. I picked them. The Ravens. I picked them. They're 3.5 favorites over the Bucks. This was another great game, huh, Jacobs?
Oh yeah. Some history to talk about. Mike Evans. He hit 100 touchdowns in his career. Becomes the 5th fastest player to do so. 11th overall. And if you look at the guys that have done 100, those top 10 besides him, it's like Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. You're talking about the cream of the crop as far
Ravens.
as all-time wide
Yeah.
receivers. So awesome for him there. Unfortunately, he did injure his hamstring on what would have been his second TD of the game. Didn't return. Looks like he will be able to avoid IR, but might miss about 3 weeks. And then the blows keep coming with these wide receivers, man. Chris Godwin in the last minute of the game. I know it's kind of frustrating because I have him on my fantasy team and it's way more important than that. But like, he's the number 1 receiver stats wise in fantasy this year, and in a game that was already decided. It was 41-31, I think. Lamar, talk about him, went for 5 tuds. Derrick Henry just was Derrick Henry.
Still couldn't bring you back this week.
Just freaking, yeah. It wasn't enough. Chris Godwin dislocated his ankle in the final minute. Will be out for the year. So I lose not only my number 1 receiver, but the best receiver. I think the league is investigating him in the hit for a hip drop tackle, that banned hip drop tackle thing. So was a great game. Unfortunately, came with a lot of injuries. It'll be interesting to see how the Bucks go moving forward because their passing game has been one of the best in the league. See if Baker can keep him rolling. So that was your last pick. So Feisty, you did have the best week, but not
Well,
good
I
enough.
I wanted to quickly mention, speaking of King Henry, what my favorite person in the world said about him. It's the Jerry Jones, Mister Not So Unlimited.
The Cowboys had a
Um,
bye week and still had
just
to
has to
find a way
find
to
a
make it in the
way.
headlines, huh?
Yep, he goes on a radio show, and they asked him um about Derrick Henry and why they didn't end up pursuing him in the off season, and he goes, um, I don't know if he would. He goes, I don't know if he would have been a good fit. He's not a good fit. for the Cowboys. He's like, I don't know if he would be having the career year in our situations. We don't run that type of offense at all. Derrick Henry didn't fit because of managing the salary cap. And then he goes on to say how he wouldn't fit McCarthy's offense. First off, F McCarthy. Second off, F Jerry Jones. I think that he is one. There is a small part he is right. I don't think he would have had the season he's having just because
Yeah,
your
he wouldn't be
Dak
having a
isn't
career
Lamar,
year like he's saying,
right?
but
Right, because the Dak is
why
not
is that
Lamar.
your
You have to,
problem?
yeah. And the hardest part is him saying he would have not fit because salary issues, dude. I don't expect anything for the next 5 years.
I also think
Um,
he meant like scheme wise too. And did
yeah,
you know? So Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. We all know who Derrick Henry
yeah.
is. The Cowboys rank another stats guy for you here, dead last in the NFL with 77.2 rushing yards per game. I think that you could find a way to fit Derrick Henry into that offense. I don't care if he wasn't. Who cares if he's not going to be as good as he is with the Ravens? Go get him on your team, and your team will be better. It's not your fucking
Oh
problem.
my gosh, I wish you could hear my thoughts, like trying to project it into the mic. But Jerry Jones is an idiot.
Jesus Christ, you can't actually say that about it.
But like even Shaq, there was a video that came out too. Shaq was like, "Hey Jerry Jones," and he was with Leonard Fournette, and he's like, "Jerry Jones, I
Oh
know you
yeah,
need a running back, and I'm your biggest Cowboys fan. He's right here." And Leonard Fournette is like, "Yeah, come get me." I still don't understand what's going on with Dalvin Cook. I mean, it's beyond me at this point. Like, I really don't get it. Why did you sign him? He's
I
sitting on
dropped,
your practice squad, and
I
nothing has
dropped him.
happened.
I drafted
So,
him too, and I, I dropped it just recently.
uh, that's why I said I'm not expecting anything from the Cowboys. Please do not reach out to me. Please do not talk to
Can
me
I
about
take
the
this
Cowboys.
bullshit off at this point? Can I?
Bro, I was hoping you would have done that like the beginning of the podcast. Way to good for you for holding on to your word because that team is booty cheeks.
And that's the thing. That's usually what saves my football week. My football weekend this year is the Cowboys doing something. I was sad that they were on a bye week, but you know what? Jerry Jones said, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. We got to find a way. We have to find a way." And it was on
I
that
got
same radio show too that he cussed out
yeah.
those other guys. So interesting, but really, is it? It's what we expect from Jerry Jones at this point. Anyways, back to the pick'em standings. Like I was saying, Feisty had the best week. Not quite enough to get the lead from me. I got 50 and a half points now. You're at 49. And Wesley's sitting down at 24 and a half. So he was in the negatives. He was in the single digits. He's not anymore. He's climbing. So let's see what he's
Under
got for
that
us this week.
mountain that he was talking about.
Before we get to him, we'll go with mine. My lock is the Chiefs, who are 10-point favorites over the Raiders. It's the Raiders. My underdog is the Seahawks, who are 3-point underdogs to the Bills. This was a tough pick for me. I wanted to go my homer route and go with the Patriots because they're 7.5-point underdogs to the Jets, but after that whole culture talk we had, definitely not. And then my random is going to be the Chargers, 7.5 favorites over the Saints, mainly just because Saints are still without Derek Carr and have all those injuries. So I'm going to take the Chargers in that one.
Well, let's get into the guys' picks that need to climb the mountain.
Changed
This
it
week
up
I
a little
have
bit.
this week I have the Ravens, who are, and that's hard for me to say, but I have the Ravens, who are 9.5 favorites over the Browns. Even with the quarterback change, the culture in Cleveland is right back to where it was not even 3 years ago.
No, no,
JMO, bro.
no, no. They got a new quarterback,
You got
bro.
JMO.
Different now.
Next, I've got the underdog. Eagles are going to be my underdog. They're 2.5, or they're plus 2.5 versus the Bengals.
Boo.
Sensing a bit of a trend here.
I just think that, I mean, that's a tough pick for me, but I feel like the Eagles are definitely a good team that could beat the Bengals. I feel like you
That
could
mountain
beat the
just got
Bengals.
higher.
I feel like you could beat the Bengals any given week. They're just a very inconsistent team.
True.
The random, I have the Lions, who are 10.5 favorites over the Titans. That's a pretty self-explanatory pick there.
I really wanted that one. I was like, oh, I should have picked this one before, but yeah, makes sense.
Well, let's get into the guy that doesn't need to climb mountain. Let's just tiptoe on right behind Mr. Jacobs himself. For my lock this week, I have the Bills, who are favorites over the Seahawks by 3 points. Just trying to do this whole thing where I try to go against the Seahawks and they just somehow always F me. So we'll continue that
Love it,
trend.
especially since I have the
My
Seahawks.
my
Just like you guys.
underdog. My underdog this week is, go ahead, boys, cube it up.
Homer.
Over. Picked my
After
Cowboys. This
everything you
was a
just
hard
said.
one. Just because they're 4.5 favorite or underdogs against
The San Francisco 49ers this week.
not
Sunday Night
saying their name.
Football.
What is wrong with you, bro? What is wrong with you? 49ers are hurt. The Cowboys are hurt. It's the team of who has the best secondary players playing at every position, including quarterbacks.
So it's a preseason game on Sunday Night
Basically,
Football. That's what you're saying.
but
Awesome.
basically,
Okay.
unless
awesome.
Christian McCaffrey somehow stops being
Magically
a bitch.
returns. Runs for 190 yards, and you guys run for 45 total.
I would love that actually, because then my fantasy team would actually get a win. Fantasy team, Cowboys win. Fantasy team. My random, no, it's more like fantasy team. My random this week is I went another homer route. And I picked my boy Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos because it's the Carolina Panthers. It's just anytime Panthers are, I had to take a little play a little some from Kyle's playbook, and I went with the Carolina route. So 7.5 favorites over the Panthers. Hopefully, Bo Nix gets it done. I hope that defense shreds. Oh, and also some news on that. It said that Andy Dalton was actually involved in a car accident. Nobody was hurt. His family's not hurt. We're not wishing anything on him, but good to hear that because I actually like Andy Dalton. So that might kind of, I don't know if they're going to change their game plan. I haven't heard anything on that. Maybe they put Bryce Young back in. But that's another thing to look out for. Maybe it's proving time for him, and they end up effing me over as well. So we'll have to see how they.
Don't wish anything on Dalton.
No,
he's a guy you like, but
I do like Don. I like my ginger boy.
But what is it about Dalton versus Sean Watson? Why do you like that guy? Huh? Why do you like that guy? And on that note, that's another great episode of your favorite Couch Potatoes. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check out the episodes on YouTube and Spotify, dropping every Thursday morning. Get you ready for the football week. Check out all the content on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. And keep a lookout because there might be a spicy little giveaway coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that. Till next time, we'll catch you on the couch. See ya. And welcome to the inaugural NBA Roundup here on your favorite Couch Potatoes, where me and Feisty give you the basketball news that you need to make sure you know as we go through the start of this NBA season, because we're tipping off as we speak. I know that the Celtics killed the Knicks today. They stepped in like they didn't miss a beat. Went 132 versus 109 over the Knicks at home on banner night, on ring night. I think they tied the record for most threes in a single game with 29. I got to watch a little bit of that first half, and yeah, they just couldn't freaking miss, dude.
Yeah, the Celtics look like the team that won the championship and that are ready to repeat. So
yes,
they definitely do not look like they missed a beat and that they're ready to defend their championship. Big shout out to Jason Tatum because he looked really good. He looks like he's just as good as ever, and then his supporting cast just doing the supporting cast stuff. So I'm excited for them to see what their season holds and if they can go back to back. Maybe question mark.
They definitely look like the heavy favorite. Although I did see the second betting favorite, zero KC Thunder, buddy. After the season you had last year and adding vets like Alex Caruso, and I think you got another guy from the Knicks too.
Yeah, center.
There you
Yeah, I don't know
go,
how to
bud.
say his name, but he's also a good add-on. Alex Crusoe was probably the best add-on that you could have because he's so well defensive-minded player, just like Dort, just like the guys that we have on that team, Jalen Williams. Like we just have a really good young crew that now you have not he's not quite veteran, but he's also the older on the team. And so like this is perfect. Like I think that he can definitely help develop those young guys and give them another person to be very good on the defensive side, but also offensively to be just as good. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited for him because he can give you 15, 20 points a night. And just what we're able to do. I saw that SGA is also in the talks for the early season MVP. And so also Wimby was, which I'm not really understanding that still. I just, but it is what it is. It's just early voting and he has the hype and, SGA has been the guy for OKC. So I'm really excited to see what OKC does this season. I will try to actually. I haven't told the wife yet, but I will try to attend a game this year in
Cause
OKC.
Oklahoma,
Yeah, in
nice,
Oklahoma.
dude.
So
Hell yeah, that would be
excited.
awesome. We'll have to see if we can get to a one in Utah as well. But
I'm
no,
definitely going
I
to those ones.
yeah, I heard I heard a thing today, which was the Celtics had this really young core that was really good and went deep in the playoffs. Couldn't quite get there until they added a very savvy vet, Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
And not saying that Alex Caruso is Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday is definitely a step above. He's definitely he's been in the league a lot longer, but it's the same kind of path. You guys got a young, proven team, veteran leadership that can come in, help it out a lot. So I'm excited to see what the Thunder do this year for sure. Um, but let's get into some more news. I know that Daddy Braun just tipped off as well. I think they're killing the Timberwolves at halftime. So we'll have
Yeah.
to see if they can kill them big enough and see if Daddy and Mini Braun can get in there. But
Yeah.
I think I did see Braun came out was like, we're not rushing that moment or anything. So
He
that's good.
just checked in,
No
baby. Let's
way.
go.
Bronny
Oh
did?
man. Yeah, I wish we were watching
No
it, but
shit.
yeah.
We'll have to make this a quick roundup. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
he just missed a three.
We don't talk about what he does on
That's
the court.
crazy. The first game, I did not expect that. I
Yeah,
did not
man.
expect
Like
the first game,
let's
dude.
just give a quick second like on this because I'm a big fan. As you know, I take a bullet for LeBron. Most people know that.
Mhm.
But it's so frustrating because I feel like Bronny needs to develop and there's just such a thrive for him to go in and try to do this because in a way, like his dad's got to be the one pulling the strings, right? Like, there's just no
Yeah.
way Bronny's like, I'm ready because you only had half a season at USC. Um, so I talked to one of my coworkers today, and he actually mentioned that there's rumors that Bronny actually might also end after this. Like after his dad retires, he might end it as well his career because of
I
his
heard
heart
that as a
problem.
joke.
I don't know if
I
it's
heard that as a joke, like a Twitter meme. Do you
yeah.
trust this coach? I'm not.
I don't because like why would you do that to yourself even though
Yeah,
your
that
heart condition and stuff? I still don't think that would be the case. But LeBron James just doing LeBron James his 22nd season. One more
you need
man. I
you need another sound effect. You need a goat neigh or whatever.
yeah. I
You can
said
start doing
LeBron.
that after
Yeah,
every
I
team,
click on it. Goat.
or you can just make your own.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna play my goat noise now, and it's just you. Love you, Daddy, bro.
Yeah, I mean it's just exciting. It's good to have the game back and um
Yeah, it
on
was
the
felt like
experience
the
side.
quickest off season. I feel
It
like
did.
in my lifetime, dude. It's already here. I'm excited for it. I
Yeah.
know as far as the Jazz go, not super excited. I think that so we have a lot of young guys. Obviously, that's the route we're
Yeah.
going right now. We're in the rebuild. You know it. You guys were in it too just a few years ago, and look where you're at now. So maybe that's the blueprint. We have 6 players on the team that are 20 years or younger. And we did just exercise our team options on Walker Kessler, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Taylor Hendricks, which was our last year's rookies and 2 years ago rookies. So definitely all good players, especially Keontae. Love Keontae. I think he can be a part of our future. But the thing is, we're just not built to compete right now, even
Yeah.
with Lowry, even with JC. And I think it's sad to say, but I'll say it for the third straight year. And I think that it's the thing that the Thunder did. I mean, I feel like you guys tanked, right? Did you guys tank?
I don't think it
Like
was
maybe not
necessarily
hardcore,
tanking.
but
I think it was just the players that we ended up getting from those trades just weren't the best. Like
do
even
you okay?
SGA.
How high did you guys pick in that era? Do you know? Did you get a top 3 pick ever? Top 5?
No, I think our top one was top 10. I think
Really?
No, yeah, top 10. I think Jet was what was
No,
Jet?
wasn't Chet a top 5 pick?
I don't know if he was. I'll have to. I'm not. Yeah, it's been a while, but I don't know if he was. I thought
He
he
was
was
selected
top
number 2
10.
overall. Yeah, okay.
Oh, he
Yeah,
was
he was the
selected
second
number two.
overall pick. Yep.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe that's when I was like, oh man, we're
And
never
Paulo
gonna get
Banchero was number
Lowry.
1 that
Yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, but even then, like, it wasn't because they were tanking on purpose. It's just the team that they had was just not
You
ready. Like
wonder,
they were
and
supposed.
but that's the hard thing. And then because here's my thing, and I've been saying it unfortunately since Donovan and Rudy were traded. We try hard at the beginning of the season. Like the first year after they were traded, I think we started the season 9-1, and
Right.
the team had all this hope, and the fans had all this hope, and it was great. And then we just weren't built for the whole season, and then we ended up, with like the 12th pick. And then last year, we kind of play well enough to win some games, and then we end up with the 10th pick. And I'm excited for Cody Williams. I'm excited to see what he can do, but
Ball out.
it's not a top 5 pick, and I think we need it. And this year, especially, Cooper Flag, bro, that
Whew.
dude looks different.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I
Imagine
sent
him
a
and
in Lowry.
Malari put together.
I would love it. And that's the thing. I think that we need to, unfortunately, it's sad to say. I was talking to our buddy Sean and talking about how we're going to hopefully need to sell our vets early. And that includes JC Jackson, Jordan Clarkson. I don't know. I just went JC. Jordan Clarkson, who is beloved here. And I don't want him gone by any means. I'm not saying that, but he is the piece that you could get the most for, I think,
Yeah,
because you put him on a championship contending, you put him on the Thunder right now as your guys' six man, can come in and, be SGA's, Robin or whatever to his
yeah,
Batman.
yeah,
And anywhere across the league, I feel like he could be pretty good. And so it's just going to be a tough season. I think we're young, and Danny Ainge is committed to this rebuild. When he commits to something, he's committed. So
for
I think you
sure.
heard a thing that you might see if Lowry has any injuries, you might see some suspiciously long recovery times from him, which wouldn't surprise me at all. So I think we need to fully embrace the tank, especially for a guy like Cooper Flag. I know it's not guaranteed because of the lottery, but I just don't see a reason
A
for us to
chance,
try and compete this year.
right? No, I agree. I think that you got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it just takes one player, one draft pick to change a franchise around. The GOAT himself. There's so many players that have done it. They
Hmm.
turned a whole franchise around. So I hope that for you, and I think that like even as a hometown like team, you want to see the Jazz succeed. You want them to do well. And it's not quite there yet. I think that I hope that they take some of the playbook from OKC's rebuild and kind of use that to their advantage because it's just it's got to be some time that the Jazz are due for some success too. So
I hope so. Hope so. Do the rebuild the right way. But let's move along from the Jazz. Buddy, we should have told our moms before they even knew we were a thing that we should have been named Jalen, because yesterday, dude's name Jalen got paid. So
yeah,
Jalen Suggs got a 5-year, $150 million extension from the Magic. Jalen Green got a 3-year, $106 million extension from the Rockets.
okay.
And then Jalen Johnson also gets a 5-year, $150 million extension with the Hawks. So good day to be Jalen. And there were a couple more. Alfred Sengun, I believe. maybe. And the Rockets, they agreed to a 5-year, $185 million extension. I know this guy. Even though I can't pronounce his name, he's been very good for them. Very good young player, and they clearly believe in him. So good contract, I think, for them. Trey Murphy agreed to a 4-year, $112 million extension with the New Orleans Pelicans. Good young player for them as well. I think the biggest signing I've seen of this, it would all happen right before the season. They're getting this all ready to go. But Aaron Gordon committed to the Nuggets. He gets a 4-year, $133 million deal that will include a player option in his 4th year. So another key piece for that Nuggets team. He is, and I think he's underrated, but he's very important to that Nuggets team. Obviously, you know who Jokic is.
I was about
You
to
know who
say
Murray is when it's against the Lakers.
playoffs.
but Aaron Gordon huge for them. So yeah, those are kind of the big signings. You got any thoughts on any of those?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Suggs. I think that's a he's just making a name for himself. It's good to see him get paid finally. And then my other one that's super surprising is the center for the Rockets. I say it's Sengun, but I could be
Sengun,
wrong
maybe.
too. But him getting a 5-year, 185, locking him down for that long. He's a young player, runs especially since they don't have Clint Capella. They haven't had a good center since then.
Right.
So I'm excited for them on that. And then Aaron Gordon, dude, what a dog!
What a
Like
dog.
the Nuggets just needed a dog, and he's been that dog for them on their championship run. And he just is super good on the defensive end. And then he just makes your team work really hard. You need that kind of guy on your in your locker room and them to lock it down. My saddest story this year is that Brody, Mr. Westbrook, is on the Nuggets, and I love Westbrook to death. I don't know if I could cheer for him with the Nuggets because I hate the Nuggets so much. So that's gonna be a very like long season for me of like, why'd you have to go to the Nuggets?
Especially if he beats one of your two teams.
Yeah. So he pulled the can't beat him, join him.
There you go. You did.
I know who somebody else who did that stupid snake.
Yeah, let's talk
So
about
I
guys that aren't playing. Yeah, and I know you want to talk about this because this is your thing.
Man, the Clippers are just hurting bad, dude. They lose Paul George to the 76ers, which he's also not playing opening night for the 76ers, by the
Him
way.
and Embiid. What a shocker there.
Sounds like
Dude, I was looking at the power rankings, and the picture for the 76ers was Embiid on the bench. And I was like, yep, that sounds about right. Sounds about
no
right.
way.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's disrespectful, but
Dude, anytime I can
yeah.
get a chance to talk about this guy and Paul George, love to hate him. So, why Leonard is sidelined indefinitely to the inflammation in his right knee. So he's been struggling with this knee since last season. I've said this over and over again. I just think Kawhi Leonard needs to be done. He's
That's
always
what
hurting.
Kendrick
He's always
Perkins said. I know you're a
injured.
big fan of him.
Scam boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just
No,
I
you're
just
good. I don't know what more help you need. He's tried to play through injury so many times, and he's just every season he's either starting out injured and out for a majority of the season, or half of the season, or first quarter of the season, or something happens and he's out the rest of the season. So it's just like he's had so many injuries. It's like, what are you doing, man? Just retire at this point. I know you're still young and you probably could, but his body is just torn down almost. And I need
yeah.
to do some research on it because I think it was something his muscular, like there's actually something wrong with his body. And
Right.
so
I remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
fortunate for
It's
the Clippers.
Clippers are going to have a tough season, I think, this year. I know James Harden's still there, but James Harden's not a number one guy anymore. He's a role player. He's a good role player, but he's not a number one guy. And losing
And
PG and Kawhi Leonard not being a reliable guy might be a tough season for the Clippers. Not sure how all those toilets are going to eventually help them, but
how are they going to be filled? Yeah, Terrence Mann might be able to. I mean, he's a good young player, but even then, you want to compete and you got a new stadium. You want to sell that stadium out, and you can't sell a stadium out with a losing record, which they probably will have. So
yeah.
I I feel bad for Kawhi, but at the same time, I don't. I lost a lot of respect for him when he recruited Paul George from the Thunder, and Paul George did that whole shenanigans with them, and so I just think that it's maybe time for him to hang those shoes up, my guy,
It
and
might
start
be.
doing memes again.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he if he gets on the court, how long he's on the court. But let's get into the WNBA because we finished that season, and boy, did the drama come with it. So I
Yep.
think the last time we talked, it was game two. So your girl Sabrina Ionescu, she hit a buzzer-beaten three almost from the logo to win
Yeah.
game three of the finals. That was pretty fucking sick to see. So that gave them the 2-1 lead. And then the Lynx came back, won a close game 82-80 in game four, tie the series, force a game five, which cue up the claps for your New York Liberty WNBA champions.
Well
Let's
deserved. Well
go.
deserved.
Yes, sir. Well, not according to the Minnesota coach. I don't know if you got to hear this, but in
Yeah.
overtime, so they went to overtime in game five, and the coach said the win was stolen from them. Said it took them 28 years. Congrats to them. We were close to our fifth title. So she did not hold back at all, which I kind of didn't like as far as like the look for your team being the head coach,
Yeah.
but she also did have a point on she said it was stolen. Yeah, so like I said, she said it was stolen from them, and what she meant was a call in the game at the end of the game in overtime that could have decided the that did decide the game actually, where I think I saw Brianna Stewart travel off the inbound for one, and then we've talked about how I'm a ref, man, and I'm not a WNBA ref, not an NBA ref, not trying to say I'm the best, but as far as I've seen, I have never seen more straight up defense from the Lynx when Brianna Stewart gets a foul call, gets to go to the line, gives them the lead, which they end up able to take the win from them. So I don't know if you saw that. I'm not saying that it's the reason that the Liberty won, but I can see why Lynx
Yeah.
fans and the coach are frustrated. And
For
I didn't
sure.
like the call. I didn't like the officiating in overtime
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot. We never want the officiating to be part of the game where it
to
decides the
decide the
win.
game. Yes.
Yeah, like a win or a lose. And
I
so,
think even Braun said that. He came out and said that on his Instagram story. He
oh,
didn't like the call.
yeah, and it's just it is what it is. You have to move on from it. But in a pro coach perspective, for her to like kind of take shots like that, like it took
Right.
them 28 years. We were close to our like, come on, man.
It's
Like,
not their fault. They're not making the calls.
and they put all their money and their investment this year, and then look what it's done for them. Like, I think that's what they didn't have, and the WNBA is just growing, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to get better every year, and so everybody needs to compete. I think that, like, like I said, calls are never super accurate, and sometimes they are super accurate. But like at the end of the day, I always say win to win. So, but don't put yourself out there like that and be a sore. To me, in my
Sore
opinion, it's
loser.
like a sore loser, right? Like
Hmm.
we lost, but we have five titles, and you guys don't have, or we would have had five titles,
Yeah.
and you
And
guys, this is your first one in 28 years. Oh well,
like
so good
exactly, it's
for
their first
Sabrina,
one.
man.
Let them freaking celebrate. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
why
and
you have
good
to
for
take
them. Good
anything
for
away
them.
from
Good for
them?
Brianna and the whole team, man. That's awesome. And I think that they looked like the best team. But, I know we were thinking the Aces. The Aces, I feel
Mhm.
like, are like the Chiefs, where you feel like even though they don't look like they're the best, they're always going to find a way. But at the
Yeah,
Liberty kind of looked like the best team throughout the season, and I think they deserve it. Does suck that that's how it ends for the Lynx, but use it and go back, next year, and let's see what you guys can do. So, bef-
100%.
yeah.
Like you
Oh
said,
yeah, go ahead.
100%. And I was just gonna say, like with the likes of the Aces, you thought that they would have had a more stacked team, but they went through that team, right? So there's a reason why they're the championship or the champions, and so I just feel like don't I'm not a big fan of sore losers. I feel like LeBron sometimes does this a lot, and that's when I'm like, come on, man, you're the king. Don't act like that.
Yeah.
So It's just give them where due is due and move on and say, hey, we're gonna work 10 times harder next season. I would have liked it more if she would have been like, we'll see you next year, or
Yeah,
catch us at the finals next year instead of saying
keep it
what's up
low key. Like, don't say too much.
for
Just,
sure.
hey, I don't have anything to say about that, but I'll just say, we got some fire, we got some fuel for the fire for
Yep.
next year or
Yep.
whatever it may be, right?
For
So,
sure.
yeah, well, that's basketball. Before we finish up the NBA roundup, I know we call it NBA, but we got to give some love as it's October baseball. And I'll tell you this, I've watched a little bit, seen some clips and stuff. It's kind of entertaining. There's a lot more grand slams this year. I think pure baseball fans are kind of not liking it, but if you're not a baseball fan like
Yeah.
us, I think we're kind of excited to see more
That's
home
the
runs
only
and shit,
excitement.
more scoring. So
Yeah.
seeing a lot of it. And I know you're such a big fan. Your New York Yankees, buddy, on
Yep.
to the World Series to face the LA Dodgers. So here we go. We got LA, we got New York, two of the most pristine franchises in MLB history. What do you even call it? Because you can't say tips off, kicks off. What?
Kicks
How do
off.
you say that it starts?
We don't know, but we're super
It pitches
excited.
off.
Pitches off.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to tune in. I mean, Shohei Otani's a guy that you want to tune into. Aaron Judge, again, a guy you want to turn into. And there's a lot of other guys too on that. Mookie Betts, who used to be on my Red Sox, but and then they got like I think Stanton, I think his name
Stanton,
is for
yeah,
the
he's good.
Yankees. Yeah. I got to see Judge in person actually for one game, and dude's a monster. And he hasn't even been playing that good in this postseason, and they've made it this far. So if he can turn it on, be exciting to see. So
For sure.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to make a bet like you did with Wesley, and maybe I'll have to wear some Dodgers gear on the pot.
I have Dodgers gear. Me and Brooklyn got
Oh,
Mookie Betts matching jerseys. So she's a Dodgers
you have a
fan.
Mookie
So well,
Betts what?
she's a Mookie Betts fan, and so she's a Red Sox fan. But like since Mookie Betts is on the
Mookie
Dodgers,
Betts.
she's a Dodgers fan, and so
Gotcha.
I'm down for it if you want to. If the Yankees win, I don't know where we're gonna get
Oh, if
Yankees
I wear
gear, but
Yankees gear.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, that was our first edition of the NBA Roundup. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll keep you updated with the happenings going on throughout the NBA, but be sure to check us out every week and check out our other podcasts. Until next time, we'll see you on the couch.
sir.